It's time once again to go racing.
It does not get any better than this.
The pressure is really on now.
Yes, it's pole position. Lights out and we're racing in PSGL.
The first lap has been absolute chaos.
What an overtake.
Oh no!
I've never seen anything like it.
Side by side again.
This will be settled right at the end.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to a massive night here of some PSGL action. It's Tier 1, it's PC, it is round 12 of the season, and well, is there going to be a party tonight? You better believe it, Dan. There is a man about to be crowned a world champion. Dan, welcome. Friendly banter between he and Brendan Lee on Twitter. Brendan Lee mentioning, of course, that exact point, Dan, that he's won 2 titles here, looking to make it 3. Well, before we get into this week and the talking points of this week, let's talk about the last Grand Prix. And if you haven't watched it, it's one to check back after this Grand Prix. What a race we had at the Circuit of the Americas last time out. And it was Jarno Opmeer that picked up the victory, storming through the field late on after pitting a lot later than some of his rivals to take the victory ahead of Barry Buremand in second and Nicholas Longuet in third. However, it was not without controversy. Barry Buremand and Nicholas Longuet deciding after a steward's decision did not go their way to depart the PSGL grid. They will take no further part in the remainder of this season. It's been a season full of controversy, Dan. We remember back to the French Grand Prix where Jarno Opmeer was not happy with the steward's decision. He threatened to leave the league as well, I believe, but stayed and in the end went on an absolute rampage since and only failed to win one of the races since then. So, I mean, slightly disappointing if I'm honest, in my opinion. I'm going to be honest, to see Barry and Nicholas decide to leave the league. I don't think it's the most professional thing. I didn't actually think that Jarno Opmeer's reaction after France was the most professional thing. However, since then, he's returned and went on a rampage. And fair play to him since then. That is how you should react. And I'm slightly disappointed that Barry and Nicholas decided to leave the league. Anyway, let's move on. Brendan Lee finished 4th in the race. Danny Beresney was 5th. Jake Benham 6th. Wilson Hughes 7th. Thomas Ronhart 8th. Alessio Di Capo 9th. And Alvaro Caraton finished 10th. Dan, anything to say on the issue last week? I mean, for me, it's very simple. The stewards make a decision. You've got to respect that.
Yeah, and I think you can be as upset as you want about it over Twitter. You know, no one really cares. But when you leave the league, it's robbing the viewers. Most importantly, I think, you know, it's taking away from us what could have been a title fight. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe Barry would have come back with it and took it right to the final race in Bahrain in just a few weeks' time. But we can't get that anymore. He's now both of them received a temporary ban from the league, so they're not going to be able to take part for the first part of the next season. If I'm not mistaken, it might even be for the entirety of it. But yeah, I think most importantly, you know, they've chose how they've acted, and I think it could be a message for everyone that you have to respect these stewards' decisions. When it doesn't go your way, you just have to take it on the chin, because at the end of the day, league racing's a bit of fun. You know, there's no prize, there's no win. Like, you just get the glory of winning, and well, they decided to run away with it. Yeah, if you don't get it your way, you don't throw the dummy out the pram, the toys out the pram. You just get on with it, and yeah. It is what it is. Hopefully, these two great drivers, because they are both fantastic drivers, no doubt about that. Hopefully, they will decide to come back in the future, because without them, there's no doubt about it, PSGL misses out on some great drivers, and
hopefully maybe in the future things can get patched up and they can return to the league because, you know, they're two very, very strong drivers. Well, qualifying's about to get underway, folks, here in Brazil. The show goes on. And before we go into it, let's just have a quick reminder of what's left in the season. There was an updated calendar after the patch. We had Singapore, where Brendan Lee took the victory, and that brilliant race last time out in the United States, which saw Jarno Opmeer overtake Barry Buremand late on for the victory. We head to Brazil tonight, where Jarno Opmeer will be crowned champion as a result of Barry Buremand's departure from the league. However, we're not going to pretend it's a dead rubber, folks. We're going to soak it up, build it up, and who knows, hopefully Jarno can wrap it up in style for some of his fans watching, or, you know, it would just be the most fitting way for this championship to be closed out rather than the way it is going to, genuinely. Then we head to Italy on the 11th and 12th of May, with Bahrain rounding all things off on the 18th of May. But anyway, that's enough chit-chat from us, folks. I think it's time to get into qualifying and get a look at some of the action. We've got cars out there on the racetrack nice and early here in Brazil, and it does look like we've got some rather overcast skies as we get into this session. I am hoping, Dan, that we're going to have a dry session because we don't really like it when we get too much rain early on. In fact, no, we won't get any rain. I'm forgetting that we actually have removed wet conditions from PSGL after the drivers had a vote a few races ago after a wet race in Jeddah. But the cars out there on the racetrack nice and early, Dan, should be a really exciting qualifying session.
Yeah, I remember it being sort of a conditional thing. I think there's some circuits where we do have dynamic conditions and others where it's not. So I'm not too sure. Maybe one of the head admins could give us confirmation in the live chat. But normally they use the intermediates earlier on just so they can save a set of the tyres. But they're on the mediums now, and if we do have dynamic conditions and we've got this overcast sky up ahead, that does kind of make me worry that we could see some intermediate conditions in this qualifying and possibly going into the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to seeing how things pan out. I'm sure we'll find out pretty shortly, but it certainly does look like there are menacing skies around this racetrack. So, Fabrizio Donoso out there on track, who, of course, at the start of the year took a bit of a break from league racing after at the start of the year. He went to Chile, went on holiday, and just took a little bit of a break, and has slowly but surely been getting back up to speed. Dan, we see him in a few league races, whether it be in WOR or PSGL, and you know he was not quite at the sharp end, but in recent weeks he's been slowly starting to build up and get nearer the front, hasn't he?
Yeah, and Fabrizio Donoso, of course, a very familiar name in the F1 esports scene, been a part of it since its incarnation all the way back in, 2017? So Donoso really is a staple on a PSGL and an F1 esports grid, so it's great to see that he's getting back into the swing of things, and he's just set his first time of 15.50, so that is not a representative lap time, but time and shooter has crossed the line. He's done a 107.3, and that looks a little bit more up to speed than what Donoso's done.
Yep, so the driver's going for the medium tyre early on in qualifying. Wilson Hughes does a 107.3 as well at the start of this session, as we keep an eye on some of the drivers out there on track at the minute. Jake Benham is out there, but he is on the intermediate tyre. Now, if you're just new to league racing, folks, I see there's many of you in the chat, perhaps for the first time today. The drivers like to use the intermediate tyre for the first run in qualifying one because it allows them to save sets of dry tyres later on in the race weekend, whether that be in qualifying or for the race. So that's why a lot of them do the first run out on inters and then they go attacking later on in the session. Fabrizio Donoso going again and does a 107.1 this time round to go top of the order. Let's see who else we can find out there on the racetrack at the minute. No sign of Jarno Opmeer yet, as he will be crowned champion tonight. What about Danny Beresnay? He's out there on the track. Let's pick him up. The Hungarian driver, another top driver in the world of F1 esports, and multiple race winner as well, Dan.
Yeah, of course, back in the McLaren car, the vacated McLaren by Barry Buremand. He's now in an actual esports team, of course. Danny Beresnay getting a podium in his home Grand Prix earlier on this season. Really put up a defensive drive to sort of assist Jarno Opmeer on that win, and actually defended from the Iranian driver. He's about to come up towards the line now, and he goes into second position, so still not touching Fabrizio Donoso just yet, but I'd say that is an impressive lap time for Danny Berejny there. We'll see who else is on runs. Philip Presnader at the moment, as well as Louis Welch. I think Welch is actually further along the circuit.
Okay.
He's just coming up towards the line now. We'll see what the pad man can do. Of course, I know you really are a fan of this driver, and he goes into 8th position.
Okay, so Louis Welch pops into 8th position. Philip Presnader on a lap as well. As you mentioned, Dan, here he is in that scarlet Ferrari, making his way over the crests. Alessio Di Capua just about getting out the way as Presnader makes his way towards the line, takes the shortest possible route, crosses it now, and goes 8th place on a 107.428. So Philip Presnader pops into 8th position. We've got Daniele Haddad out there as well, and he's in the Williams at the minute with no time set, but he's on a lap at the minute. Let's see what he can do around this Brazilian circuit, which has got 15 turns. And Dan, it's one of the old school ones, one of the classics, and it's, you know, one that we always look forward to in Formula One when we head here. Some great corners like the Ciro del Lago, the Senna S as well, Bico de Pato, and Yunsao, where Lewis Hamilton passed Timo Glock back in 2008 in dramatic fashion to go on and win what was his first title, and who knew he was going to go on and win a further 6. Incredible, really, as we see Daniele Haddad cross the line now on a 107.2 and go P3 in behind Danny Berejny.
Yeah, I'd probably argue this is one of the most iconic circuits of all time. I mean, just Lewis Hamilton in 2008 is one example of such great moments we've had here. You know, Ayrton Senna back in '91. Even just the last few races have been tremendous. It was really a defining feature of the 2021 championship. Hopefully it can be the same for PSGL, as Ben Zabaconyi has just crossed the line on his set with the medium compounder tyre to go ahead of Daniele Haddad by just a few hundredths of a second. So already, Andy, it's looking quite tight at the top.
Yep, it sure is. So good lap there. So that's 2 getting into the top 3 places as we now keep an eye on Thomas Ronhaar starting a flying lap. Now this guy is going to be a real feature in the world of esports and league racing going forward, isn't he, Dan? We've seen a lot of him, particularly in WOR. As I say that, I've been giving him the big intro, and he goes and invalidates it the Senna S. But Dan, he's a top young driver, isn't he? Another young, fast Dutchman. There's plenty of them around, and yeah, he'll be one to watch tonight and in the future.
Yeah, I'm just wondering who that other fast Dutchman is. It could be a particular F1 esports champion, I think. Maybe Thomas Ronhaar one day will be talked in the same regard as his fellow compatriots like Otmar and Shooter as well, of course, and Van Erven too. You know, a lot of Dutch talent on the PSGL grid, and they're certainly fans of their Formula One. But we do have drivers on outlaps at the moment, one of them being Fabrizio Donoso, currently topping the timing sheets at the moment, but now he's strapped on a set of the soft compounder tyre. We'll see what the Chilean can do as he comes into the first few corners.
Well, let's take a lap on board then with Fabrizio Donoso, which is on a track not too far from his homeland Chile. Probably, well, it is the closest track to Chile, Brazil, as he makes his way through that first sector and then heads down towards the Ciro del Lago, but unfortunately he's bailed out of his latest lap, so we won't be watching any more of that. Let's pick someone else up. Tino Nakarunen, the man from Finland, in the Alfa Romeo. He's out there on the soft tyre on a hot lap as well, and he's making his way through that middle sector now, uphill through Ferradura turn 6 and then into Laranja of turn 7. Now you get a bit of deja vu here because 6, 7 and 8 are very similar to 9, 10 and 11, up and downhill repeatedly. Now up to turn 10, Bico de Pato, and then you sweep back down the hill again into Mergulio. So through there now goes Tino Nakarunen. Moving out the way is the man that aborted his lap, Fabrizio Donoso, and into Yunsao before beginning that long climb, steep climb up the hill to the highest point of the racetrack before sweeping back down that start-finish straight. Hug the inside like your favourite granny to shorten the run, take less metres towards the line. Tino Nakarunen, P1 for the Flying Finn, 1 minute 6.719.
We'll see what other runners can do at the moment as they're completing their first soft runs. Trying to find who's in the final sector at the moment, as Ronhaar has actually planted himself second position's fastest of all the medium runners at the moment. So very impressed with how that lap has gone for him. I'm just thinking everyone is sort of either in the middle part of their lap or just in the first couple of sectors. So it's really difficult to actually work out who's on the run at the moment. We've got Joost Noordijk coming across the line now, and he goes to the top of the order, 2 tenths clear of Tino Nakarunen. But some big issues here But Alessio Capo, he's been disqualified.
Yeah, he's been disqualified from the session. That's a bit of a disaster for him. That's not worked out at all well. So he has been disqualified from this session. Who else we got out there on a lap? Brendan Lee on an out lap, just starting his flying lap now. And let's keep an eye on him, Dan, because we had a great moment in the Grand Prix last week where we had the two drivers, the only two people in the entire planet that have won two F1 esports titles, both won back-to-back. Brendan Lee in 2017 and 18, Jarno Opmeer in 2020 and 21. Both of those drivers going head-to-head in PSGL. What a sight that was, not just for the league, but just for league racing in general. It was brilliant. Two titans fighting it out.
Yeah, and of course, Brendan Lee is almost from a different era of league racing to Jarno Opmeer. We've seen Jarno Opmeer in recent years, being a part of league racing, but Brendan Lee was really, classic leagues like AOR back in 2015 and 16 and stuff, if I'm not mistaken. So they're sort of from two generations being united here in PSGL. We'll see what Brendan Lee can do as he just comes through Junsao corner now. He's got a 106.296 to beat, just set by time and shooter. We'll see what the Brit driver can do. Winner so far this season back in Singapore. How can he replicate his performances in Brazil? It's going to be 5th position with a 106.406, and Louis Welch slots himself just ahead with the exact same lap time as Donoso.
Go on, the pad man. Everyone knows I love the pad man, as we now watch this man who's out on track for the first time tonight. Now, two-time champion in F1 esports, two-time champion on PC here in season 28 and 29, and once on the PlayStation, all in tier 1, going for his 4th PSGL world title. He will win it tonight because Barry is not here, but let's pretend like that's not the case. Let's see what he can do as Opmeer comes across the line now. What's it going to be for an opener? It's only P12 for Jarno Opmeer with his opening effort. Make that 13th. He's under a bit of pressure, Dan.
Yeah, Jarno Opmeer could be on the cusp of being eliminated. We know he's in love with his YouTube stuff, and fair play to him. He does a really great job, and I think that'd make for a great title. Last the first challenge whilst winning the PSGL title. So we'll see what Jarno Opmeer does from here. But currently in the danger zone, he's just got Joost Noordijk and Liam Parnell as a buffer behind him for the bottom 4, I believe, that we're losing in this session. Oh dear. And as I say that, he's just been demoted down into 14th.
So Daniele Haddad goes up to P12, and we're going to have a very interesting end to this qualifying session. Let's get everyone in the chat talking then. I know there's plenty of chat going on about Barry and Nicholas Longy. I just want to reiterate for people, if you've just joined us, Barry Brunemann and Nicholas Longy both leaving PSGL after a stewards decision last week did not go how they wanted it. Take from that what you will, but unfortunately we've lost two of our, really talented drivers, which is a real shame. Hopefully they can patch it up in the future, and we will have them back here in PSGL perhaps next season, or at some point into next season. But that is the situation with those guys. But let's get you guys talking about this qualifying session. Q1, Jarno Opmeer down in 14th place, and then a little bit of trouble here. Alessio Di Capo disqualified. We've only got 19 runners, so we will lose 3 drivers from this session. I wonder what the cut-off time will be. Let's get talking, folks. What do we think the cut-off time will be to get into qualifying 2? Dan, what do you reckon?
Mid 3 or low 0.4, I'd say, is what we're going to see as the elimination. That's a 106.3 mid or a 106.4 low is what I'm thinking is going to be the cut-off time. See what Zabakonye can do. He's currently improving on his time. We'll see if he can actually get himself into that safe zone. One of the only drivers on a lap at the moment. We'll see what the Hungarian can do as he comes up towards the line in his Alfa Romeo, and he puts himself in the mid 3s. So possibly that could put him safe.
That could be enough to see him safe. A lot of people in the chat talking. 0.5, Scott Alley says a low 0.4. Charlie Pickering, a high 0.3. The Mango Lord, a 106.3. I like that name. That's a cracker. So tell us, folks, what you think the cut-off time is going to be. So, Shabakonye has gone P6 with that time. Donoso, though, out there on the lap. The Chilean needs it as well. That 106.390 might not be safe enough, as he and Louis Welsh have both got the exact same lap time. Let's see what he can do as he makes his way up the hill through Ferradura and into turn number 7. Let's see what Donoso can do as he makes his way through this tight, twisty, technical middle part of the lap. Very slow. You need to be so precise through some of these corners, but Donoso at the minute has it all under control as he now sweeps down the hill through Magulo and into Junsao, and now only 400ths up Donoso, so can he find a little bit more time in the final sector? At the minute it could be enough to see him safe anyway, but he wants to be absolutely sure. Here he comes then, round that final corner, up to the line. What can the Alpine driver do? Crosses it now and goes to the top of the time screens. Great lap from Donoso. Will that see him through? Wilson Hughes wasn't a lap, but he's bailed out of it, and he therefore is under a little bit more pressure, Dan.
Yeah, I think he is about to begin his next flying lap. We do have Matthijs van Erven just beginning on a run at the moment as Zabakonyi retires in the pit lane, and that could see him out of qualifying unless he believes that time is safe. I'd imagine everyone from about Jake Benham upwards is safe. Van Erven, though, is already improving on his lap. It is marginal. It's just 13,000ths of a second, but it's an uphill climb towards Ferradura. We can break pretty late apex through here. Double apex, of course, running it out wide and in towards turn number 6, if I'm not mistaken. Downhill left-hander up next. Very long-winded, where you've got to be so careful on the throttle, and in towards the corner where Hamilton and Albon had their famous spat back in 2019 as Van Erven now completes the second sector. We'll see what the Dutchman has set in here. And oh dear, Andy, he's losing time.
He's losing time, but will he be safe enough? Zabakonyi is already aborted, so that's at least one driver he'll be ahead of. Remember, only 3 going out here, so maybe that will adjust the time to be a little bit higher than a high 0.3. Here comes Van Erven anyway, crosses it, goes P2, finds time in the final sector. So Jarno Opmeer now drops down to the bubble after some improvements elsewhere. Opmeer needs this lap if he wants to see himself through. Ronhaar is on a lap and he might be about to knock him out. Let's see what Ronhaar can do. Is Opmeer going to be in trouble here? He is, as Ronhaar goes quickest. So Opmeer now definitely needs the improvement, and he's only finding just under a 10th. So what can Opmeer do now? As he begins to climb up the hill, is he going to be in bother, or will he see himself through? Would be a massive shock if he didn't. Opmeer then makes his way to the line. What's it going to be? It's enough only for P15.
Whoa, no.
Opmeer in serious trouble. Can Haddad knock him out? No. Can Hoffland knock him out, or Parnell? It doesn't look like it at the minute, but Opmeer will be going again though, so there will be time for another run. No, there won't. Opmeer has bailed out of his lap, so this is absolutely huge. Hoffland has bailed out his lap. The only man at the minute that can knock Jarno Opmeer out of qualifying is the Red Bull driver, Liam Parnell. Well, what a shock this would be. Is Jarno Opmeer about to bow out in the first part of qualifying? Well, I wonder what Barry Budeman would think now if he sees his big rival getting knocked out in Q1. Will he be kicking himself for perhaps not turning up? I wonder. Here comes Parnell anyway, and he's improving by nearly 0.3 of a second. Jarno Opmeer, despite there only being 3 drivers that can knock him out, is going to be knocked out of qualifying if Parnell completes a very good lap. Parnell crosses the line now and knocks Jarno Opmeer out of qualifying 1. The man that's going to be crowned champion tonight is only 16th on the grid. Barry Budeman, where are you now?
Yeah, make that 17th. Daniele Haddad went for another push lap. He ended up in 9th. So Jarno Opmeer starting on the second to last row of the grid here today. Actually, yeah, no, it is the second to last. That is a big shock in this qualifying session, losing our champion 4 times in PSGL and 2 times in F1 Esports in the first session of qualifying. But I'll tell you what, if he can win this race from here, it's going to make a damn good YouTube video.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a content plan from Jarno Opmeer. Is it all about the content tonight? He knows he's going to be champion. But yeah, regardless, he's out in Q1, and doesn't matter which way you slice it, it's still a surprise, it's still dramatic, and it will make for an interesting race. So Jarno Opmeer will start the Grand Prix from down in 17th place. No doubt about it, Dan. A surprise. But yeah, he's out, and he's going to be joined pardon me, by Joost Noordijk, Duncan Hofland, and Alessio Di Capua, who was disqualified for parking in an illegal position. But anyway, here are the results from qualifying 1. Thomas Ronhaar, we said at the top of the show, he's one to watch. He's P1 ahead of Donoso and Brendan Lee in third. Matthias van Erven qualifies at P4 in the first part of qualifying. Danny Beresney is next ahead of Thymen Shootout in sixth. 3 Dutch drivers in the top 6 despite Jarno Opmeer's demise. Philip Presneder starts from 7th and, is at 7th. Jake Benham is 8th. Daniele Haddad is 9th. And Tino Nakarunen rounds out the top 10. Ben Chabaconnier is 11th, then it's Louis Welsh, Liam Parnell, Wilson Hughes only just through as well with Carter Lundy in 15th. Out go Joost Noordijk, Jarno Opmeer, Duncan Hofland and Alessio Di Capua. 3 Dutch drivers out in this part of qualifying, Dan. Let's have a chat about that qualifying session. Jarno Opmeer, obviously the big surprise. The question is, was it a poor lap, a poor session, or is it all about the content? We don't know.
I have no clue at the moment. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about how he's not got his stream up. I don't know if he's been fixing some issues. He could be dealing with some lag on his end. Okay. I'm not too sure what's going on with the Dutchman. Maybe if he does end up on the podium at some point, we can get him in for an interview and we can talk to him. I think we'll talk to him anyways. He's champion at the end of the night. So I think I'd love to get him in for an interview and we can definitely talk about his qualifying. But all we do know is that he's not in the top 15, so he will take no further part in qualifying.
Yep, so he is out of qualifying. We've got 15 minutes of action ahead of us in qualifying 2, folks. Now let's see who can get themselves through into the next part of qualifying. Has anyone impressed you so far, Dan, in qualifying?
I'll say Thomas Ronhaar has been really impressive to me so far in qualifying. I mean, he was able to top Donoso's medium lap. Yep. And he was the quickest of the medium runners when all those times were coming out. Granted, it was a bit later in the session, so improved track conditions. And then, if I'm not mistaken, he just topped the session there right at the end, or he was one of the top drivers. So I've got to say, Thomas Ronhaar in fine form at the minute, and I'm hoping he can have a good race today. Yep,
absolutely. Well, let's jump back into the action, folks. Let's see how things are taking shape as qualifying 2 is now underway here tonight in PSGL, as we are at the Brazilian Grand Prix here in Interlagos, round 12 of this championship, where Jarno Opmeer will be crowned champion tonight. Great to have so many of you guys watching in the chat. 1.6k tuning in for this qualifying session. Great to have you all in here. It's a bit early to ask you your pole predictions, but you know, let's wait and see who gets into that top 10 and see what happens. But there's certainly been a few drivers that have looked pretty strong out there so far. Matthias van Erven is the first man to start a flying lap, Dan. So let's ride outboard with him and the Haas driver as he attacks this beautiful circuit.
Absolutely. Down the back straight here, where we could see some overtakes in towards turn number 4, braking just around about the 50-meter mark or slightly before there, running it out wide and then taking this short uphill climb towards Ferradura corner. Turn number 5 is going to be at about 220 kilometers per hour, so maximum commitment for Van Erven in his Haas, attacking all the apexes here, then riding it slow through here, short shifting to maintain the traction. It's very tricky, and a slight correction, a little bit of fishtail on the back end, but he's managed to hold the car. And it's going to be the final sector coming up next for Van Erven. Where can he plant his Haas? We've seen him in recent weeks become a very impressive and formidable force in PSGL as he comes through Junsao and onto the main straight now, where he's going to open up the DRS as he goes underneath the Emirates banner. It's going to be hugging the inside wall to cross the line now, and it's going to be the benchmark in Q2 with a 106.745, considerably slower than what we saw in Q1.
Yeah, that's immediately beaten by Ben Chabaconnier. He goes quicker by a tenth of a second. Wilson Hughes has gone third. Who else we got out there that we can pick up at the minute? Carter Lundy is in the final part of the lap. Let's keep an eye on him as he makes his way up towards the line, taking a wide line over the line. He's not on a particularly quick lap. That'll be the reason for that. So it doesn't go to plan for him. Philip Presneder, he's in the final part of the lap now as well. Let's see what he can do. He crosses the line and goes P5. Louis Welsh is also on a lap. Nope, he's not. He's just starting one. So he will begin a lap as well now. Daniele Haddad up to P2, the man that knocked Jarno Opmeer out in Q1. Liam Parnell goes P3. Yes, folks, if you've just joined us, Jarno Opmeer, P17, knocked out in the first part of qualifying. Big shock here tonight as Jake Benham now is on a lap, but he has invalidated his run. So it will not be a particularly quick lap from Jake Benham. Let's pick up the man that was quickest, Dan, in the previous part of qualifying and is looking very strong, Thomas Ronhaar, the young Dutchman.
Yeah, Thomas Ronhaar without a lap time at the moment, and he's got a bright future in F1 esports, and I'll imagine that in the next few years you're going to be seeing him on a grid with a lot of these drivers that we're seeing at the moment, as he's just coming through the end of the second sector, and his sector times at the moment is a 49.9 so far, so he's looking very quick indeed, as Carter Lundy does a 106.5. How can Thomas Ronhaar stack up in comparison as he opens up the DRS and hugs it to the inside line? Pressure leader jumps the Canadian as here comes Ronhaar up towards the line and goes clear out of the water with a 106.343 to go to the top of the standings.
And Beresney slots into that gap in between in second place on a 106.469. Good effort from him. What about Jarno Opmeer's teammate? Jake Benham's been validated another lap. So it's not happening for Jake Benham at the minute. He's going to complete it anyway, so let's see what he does do. It would have been a 106.6 for Jake Benham, so maybe not going to plan for him, or maybe he's planning to jump onto a set of the medium compound. Not too sure. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe that's a deliberate invalidation from him. What about this man? Tino Nakarunen, 6 seconds down, not on a hot lap at the minute, but it is Thomas Ronhaar on top from Danny Beresney at this stage, and I've got to say it's a pretty healthy margin that the young Dutchman has. It's a very good margin actually. He's looking very strong.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just really enjoys the circuit, and Thomas Ronhaar looking like he is the driver to beat at the moment in a grid with so many esports veterans and other upcoming stars. Thomas Ronhaar has really been able to stand out above the rest, of course with his Xbox roots. I'm not actually sure if he raced with us when we were on the Xbox, and I think season 27. I'm going to have a look at the archives for that one there, but certainly Ronhaar has been really impressive to me.
Yep, very, very impressive as he makes his way into the pits now. We've got several drivers in the pit lane. Is Jake Benham on a lap this time? No, he's going slowly again. He's out of fuel, I think, as we wait to see if anyone is going to deliver a hot lap. Shaba Konye is actually slotted in between Ronhaar and Beresney. It's a really good lap, actually, only 2 thousandths down on Thomas Ronhaar, so that's another driver that's looking very, very strong, and he could, you know, be right in the fight towards the sharp end as well. Really looking forward to seeing how this pans out. But everyone else at the minute on outlaps, but there is one man about to start one, and it's this man, Fabrizio Donoso. Let's see what he can do, Dan.
Yep, coming through the centre S's now. It's a downhill left and then right and onto this long-winded left-hander where, of course, Verstappen was able to overtake Rosberg around the outside in the wet conditions. Down this back straight and in towards turn number 4, braking just at the 50-metre boards now. We'll see what can Donoso do. Slight lock up on the inside, but he's managed to keep it very stable, and the ship is still in the water as in towards turn number 5. Ferradura corner, maximum commitment through here. Now it's going to be a series of downhill and uphill corners, all in succession with one another. It's like a roller coaster ride around this circuit, but a bit slower than what you see at Portimao. In towards the next right-hander, where he's got to get on the power early and short shift in towards this next left-hander, in towards now the final sector, and already it's a 49.7 through the first 2 sectors. So Fabrizio Donoso looking very healthy on this run with 7 minutes to go as he opens up the DRS, utilising all the straight line speed in that Alpine car as he comes across the line and he goes 3/10 clear, just about. Actually, it's 2.5 clear of Thomas Ronhaar with a 106.093. That is going to take some beating.
Well, he's not hanging around, is he? He's really not hanging around. That's a really good lap time from Fabrizio Donoso. How's Brendan Lee looking? He's out there on the medium tyre, so Brendan Lee clearly feels that might be the tyre to go for, as Wilson Hughes slots into second place, the Scotsman, on a 106.225. Here comes Brendan Lee to the end of his lap on the mediums. How will it stack up against the rest? It's a 107.0 for Brendan Lee. P13 as things stand, so he will not get through at the minute with a medium tyre, but will he try with the other tyres? It remains to be seen. Here comes Daniele Haddad round the final corner, up to the line now. He's currently P10. He's now up to P5 with a 106.425. Good lap there from him as well. Who else we got out there on a hot lap at the minute? Let's have a look at the screen. Have we got Tino Nakarunen on one? We do, and he's going purple through the middle sector. So Nakarunen 2/10 up on his previous best, now climbing that hill and coming towards the end of a lap here. What can Nakarunen do? as he makes his way down the hill towards the line. 106.0 to beat. It's only a 106.6 for Tino Nakarunen. It's enough for P11. So good lap there from him, or solid enough lap. Carter Lundy's just starting one. Let's see if we can pick up Danny Beresney. He's out there on a lap at the minute, almost 2/10 up on his previous best as he now begins to climb uphill. It should, at the very least, you feel, be enough to get ahead of his teammate Wilson Hughes, who is in a lofty P2 at the minute. Will he get anywhere near Donoso? Here comes Beresney towards the line now. P2, 106.206 for Danny Beresney.
Yep, nice enough time for Beresney. We also have Jake Benham at the moment, who has gone purple through Sector 2. He's looking around about a 10th off of what Donoso has done so far, as opening up the DRS. As the Williams just in front of him, I believe, comes into the pit lane. As here comes Benham towards the line. Can he beat Donoso? He can't. He only goes 4th fastest, so he's about a 10th down on Wilson Hughes. But still a respectable P4 in this session so far. As Carter Lundy has unfortunately invalidated on his run. I'm not too sure we actually have anyone on a lap at the moment, unless Philip Presnader has anything to say, as he's just coming through the last parts of Sector 2 now. We'll see his improvement. He was up in Sector 1 and a further 10th and a half up in Sector 2. So we could see him reaching the echelons of around about Ron Haar and Zabakonyi is what we're expecting for the Ferrari driver, as he opens up the DRS now. And in his scarlet red Ferrari, comes up towards the line. Where's he going to insert himself? He goes 4th position and just ahead of Jake Benham, only a few hundred shy of Wilson Hughes.
Yeah, a little lull in the action then, folks. Good effort there from Presnader. Got to say, I agree with George in chat. Fab is in great form, looking very strong here. The man from Chile. I see someone asking if he was Italian, Marco Massini. No, he's from Chile. This is not quite his home race, but it's the closest race to Chile on the calendar. The only Grand Prix, of course, in South America at the minute. I wonder if in the future Formula One will ever return to the likes of Argentina. Who knows if they will. They're certainly returning to Africa, we believe, in the future, perhaps in 2023 with the South African Grand Prix at Kyalami. But here is Shabakonye, and he's on a lap at the minute, and he's another driver, Dan, that's looked very strong in qualifying so far. Can he get anywhere near Donoso, who at the minute is in a league of his own in Q2?
Yeah, well, we'll see what the Hungarian can do. Of course, winning the F2 race actually last week in USA. He's been brought up to Tier 1 for tonight. There's been a lot of vacancies been made today, so he's getting his chance to mix it in with some of the best. And of course, you might know him as Photon. That's what he used to race under. So he's been a part of the league racing scene for quite some time now. And it's good to see him still kicking about and still trying to get into that F1 Esports Series. Was reserving for Ferrari, if I'm not mistaken, last season. As coming up towards the line now, we've seen Beresney and Presnader both retire in the pit lane. We'll see what Zabakonyi can do as he comes up to the line. He only proves by 0.003 of a second, but that time was still enough to put him ahead of Thomas Ronhaar by 0.001 of a second.
Okay then, so Shabakonyi goes P6. Well then, folks, time for a question for you all. What do we think then? What will the cut-off time be to get into the final part of qualifying? What are we looking at? Dan, what do you reckon?
All right, you know what? I'm actually a bit unsure because the times seemingly are a lot more spread out in this session than what they were in Q1, but I'm going to say round about where Zabakonyi, Jake Benham is. I'd say that's not going to be the safest position. Presnader and Beresney and Donoso, I'd say Donoso and Beresney certainly safe. Presnader feels he is clear into the next session with a 106.2. We'll see how that works out for him. But I'd imagine, yeah, round about where Benham, Zabakonyi is, so a mid to low 0.3 going to be the cutoff.
Yeah, so I've just had a little look there at Tino Nakarunen and Louis Welsh. They both aborted their laps already, so around the 0.3 Dan thinks will be the cutoff. We've got people in chat with a few questions. Harry McIntosh, a 6.3 he believes. Someone thinks a 6.4. GBR GJ Racing thinks that. So 6.25. Okay, interesting. That would be really fast if we see that. A few people asking where Jarno is. Just to remind you folks, Jarno Opmeer, well, if you've just joined us, was knocked out in the first part of qualifying. He qualified P17 on the grid. Going by what I've seen in the chat, I don't have the opportunity to go and look at Jarno's stream, but what I'm hearing is it was connection issues, the reason for that. But I can't confirm that. I don't know. I am, occupied with this at the minute, but he qualified 17th on the grid as we keep an eye on Matthias Van Erven as he comes round the final corner up to the line. What can he do from P14? He can jump up to P2. Good effort there from Matthias Van Erven. He moves up the order. What are we going to see from the rest of the drivers as Ron Hart, I think as we just went on board with him, went for a corner cut.
Yep, and that's an invalidation for Ron Hart there, but we do have Liam Parnell coming up towards the line now, currently in 11th, so he's on the bubble and is eliminated at this point in time, but to cross the line, goes into 6th position. That could see him into the next section of qualifying. He's already clear of Philip Presnader, who's now probably going to be beginning to shake a little bit in the the Ferrari garage, getting all the reds mixed up today. But I don't think that Philip Presnader is going to be the safest driver in the world, even as Daniele Haddad goes in front of him.
Yep, things looking very, very interesting. Tino Nakarunen on another lap. Let's see what he can do. Shabakonyi is coming into the pit, so we'll keep an eye on this man then. Tino Nakarunen, what can he do then? 14th at the minute, needs to try and get himself into the final part of qualifying. Will he take part in the shootout? No, he will not. With a time like that, it's only P12, not looking good for him at the minute, and he's gone way off at the first corner. What about Louis Welch then? Round the final turn, can he get into the next part of qualifying? It's going to be close. Bang! Through he goes. P9, 106.285. Good effort there from him. Van Erven is cruising. He is safely through. The checkered flag is now flying. Is anyone else going to get through? Carter Lundy at the minute has invalidated his lap, so his session is also over. Liam Parnell, no. What about Brendan Lee? He needs an improvement. He's currently down in 15th. Now, is he going to go for P11 on the grid, or is he going to try and get himself into the next part of qualifying? Let's watch as Brendan Lee heads for the line now. He's bailing out. And he goes P10!
Oh,
he
no.
can't quite manage it. What about Jake Benham? Is he going to save his bacon and go through? Benham to the line does put Brendan Lee 11th, and that's exactly what Brendan would have been looking for. Now, what about Thomas Ronhar? Round the final corner, up to the line. One of the people we think might fight for pole today, and that's why 106.0 matches what we've seen from Donoso earlier in this session and goes P1. Only man that's left that can get through is this man, Tino Nakarunen, and he can. Louis Welch is backed out as well, and qualifying is over. Louis Welch P11, Brendan Lee P12, but that's what he wanted. Ben Shabakonyi, Tino Nakarunen, and Carter Lundy out of qualifying, Dan.
Yep, and Philip Presnader just surviving in the end, so I think a lot of our cut-off points, mine especially, I don't know about everyone in the live chat at the moment, but they were quite wrong. It was actually ending up being a high point too, so
wow.
Well, they just stepped up in this qualifying session. Really impressed with how the drivers have coped today, but it's going to be the top 10 led by Thomas Ronhar and Fabrizio Donoso going into Q3.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I think I did see a couple of people say a point two, which I thought was ambitious, but fair play to those that did go for the point two. And yeah, wow, really high standard in the end. But Ronhar in fine form. And at the minute, Dan, I don't know about you, but I think this is a fight for pole between two. Thomas Ronhar and Fabrizio Donoso. Is that something you would go along with?
I would 100% agree with you here. I mean, they're topping the session quite clearly at the moment. The closest rival is Van Erven, currently in P3 with a 106.2. So those guys cut above the rest, I'd say.
Yep, looking good. And as you say, Ronhar from Donoso and a good gap back to Matthias Van Erven in third. Danny Beresney, 1,000th behind him in fourth, ahead of Thyman Shooter P5. Wilson Hughes is sixth and Liam Parnell seventh, booking himself into the next part of qualifying. Haddad, Benham and Presnader complete the top 10. Out go Louis Welch, Brendan Lee, Ben Shabakonyi, Tino Nakarunen and Carter Lundy. Damn, what a session that is. We thought it would be a point three. It ended up being a point two. Just shows how competitive things are, even without the likes of Nicholas Longate and Barry Brumand.
Absolutely. I mean, who needs them anyways? Yeah, I mean, I'm joking, of course, but yeah, that was a wonderful Q2. Q3 is up next, and it's going to be a 12-minute, 10-man shootout for pole position. But I'd say, Andy, it is going to be a two-horse race in this one. It's going to be either Donoso or Ronhar. And I'd be surprised if it was anyone else. I wouldn't be surprised, so to say, but I'd certainly be expecting those two are the favourites. Okay,
well, let's discuss it then, Dan. Are you going to pick one? Jump off the fence. Go on then. Who's your pick for pole?
That's a tough one, but you know what? I'm gonna be orange today. I'm going to go with Thomas Ronhar today.
Oh, you're going for Thomas Ronhar to get the pole position. Everyone in chat, it's time to tell us who you think is going to get pole position. We're interested to hear. I am going to go for Donoso. Home continent, looking very strong. Donoso for pole position. Dan is gone for Thomas Ronhart. I'm going for Donoso. Let's hear what everyone else has to say. But enough of us chatting. Let's jump in to this qualifying session and let's see what's happening. So let's have a look at the chat and see what people think. Johnny Herbert, Ethan Dean. Johnny Herbert's not going to get pole, surely. Jens thinks Van Erven. Zachary McLaren is going for Ronhart. Mikael is going for Jake Benham. Very interesting choices in here. Danielle's gone for Donoso. Yarna will take pole. That'll be difficult. MG thinks Ronhart. So yeah, a lot of people going for the likes of Donoso, Ronhart, Beresney from Jake Marsh as well. Yeah, quite a lot of choices, and you know, I think with the likes of Otmir out, Dan, and obviously Barry and Nicholas not here, it's leading to a lot of variety on what people think will get pole, and it makes things a lot more open. Wilson Hughes for pole, says Mick Whopper. Well, let's see if he can pull out a whopper of a lap and stick it on pole, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice one there, I'd say. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of love for so many drivers. And I think, yeah, the big man himself, Big C, has also gone for Wilson Huge. We'll see how Wilson Hugs does today. But it's going to be Jake Benham, the first driver to put us on a run. We saw Van Erven come out for a sight lap. He immediately dove back into the pit lane. But here comes Jake Benham. He's going to begin his run, only marginally squeezed through into Q3. So he wasn't feeling a bit too confident in there. But he's going to carry it on over into the final part of qualifying as he gets his first run underway.
Okay then, Jake Benham, a few people saying he could have a chance, an outside chance. I've seen someone say for Jake Benham to get the pole position. He has looked strong as well when he's hooked the lap up. How's the first sector looking? It's looking like a 16.518, and he's not happy with it. He's bailed out. Jake Benham not happy with that lap, so let's pick up the man directly behind him, Philip Presnader, who is still on a hot lap as he makes his way uphill through Fenadua of turn 6 and now into turn 7. Bresnida pushing hard and looking for pole position. Can he be the man to take top spot tonight in qualifying? Just behind him in the road, you've got Matthias Van Erven, but he is on an out lap, so we will stick with Bresnida for now as he now makes his way towards the middle part of the lap. The number 38 in that Scarlet Ferrari. Round he goes, and it's a 49.9 through the middle sector. Just one climb up the hill, one big blast of the throttle, no more braking as he now climbs to the summit of the racetrack and then swoops downhill towards the checkered flag. Bresnida, first time on the board. What's it going to be? It's a 106.3 from him. Good effort. Donoso's on an outlap, but his teammate, Daniel Haddad, oh no, not his teammate, okay, we'll keep an eye on him anyway. He's crossing the line, not on a hot lap, but Ronhart is, but look at that. Thomas Ronhart, one of the picks for pole, invalidated his lap. Not going to plan for him at all. Liam Parnell going slowly. Has anyone at the minute on a quick lap? What about Wilson Hughes? Nope, he's bailed out of it as well, Dan, so nobody at the minute on a quick lap except this man, maybe. Danny Beresney, he's on one.
Danny Beresney's backed out as well.
Wow,
so
okay.
They don't like putting up lap times on the board, but I think Time and Shooter is actually going for it here. As we'll see what he can do. He's just coming in towards the second sector split. And it's going to be a 49.889 for him. So this actually is quite competitive from the Dutchman in the Red Bull car. How can he fare? His teammate eliminated his fellow countryman in Q1 earlier on in this session as he comes up towards the line now, and he's going to assert himself. Just only 11,000 clear of Philip Presneder, but he's going to go into P1 and her original pole position at the moment, unless this man, Fabrizio Donoso, has anything to say about it.
And Jake Benham pips him as well, so if the shooter was top for not very long, Van Erven beats him, and then Jake Benham, the young Englishman, goes to the top of the timing sheet straight after. What about Daniele Haddad? He goes P6, not really a representative lap. Presnader starting another fresh one. What about Ronhart? Is he on one? No, he's still going slowly, still not on a particularly quick lap. Liam Parnell, neither. He's not on one either. What about Wilson Hughes? Or Wilson Hughes, as Big C called him. He's gone purple through the middle sector. The Scotsman on a hot lap here in the McLaren. Is it going to be enough to go to the top of the timings? He's going to try and take on Jake Benham. Watch the clock. Can Wilson Hughes go P1? He can. 106.176. He's gone quickest. But there is a man who's been very strong in qualifying so far today. My pick for pole, Donoso, the Chilean, goes P1 by a fraction of a tenth. He is now the top dog in qualifying as Beresney tries to beat them all. Can't quite do it though. Goes P2. Wow, very close, Dan.
Yeah, very tight at the sharp end of the order. Meanwhile, though, Thomas Ronhaar has backed out of his run. And so he is not going to be pushing here. Ronhaar, yeah, no, I know he's not looking all that strong so far in Q3. Still got time to make amends, as Parnell is also invalidated on his run. So I'm not too sure, Andy, that we have anyone on a lap at the moment, as Haddad is on a push lap here, if I'm not mistaken. And he seems to be the only one actually going for it now.
He was on one and he went 8th with that time. He did complete that previous one, but yeah, he's 6 tenths down. He's bailed out. He's bailed out on this latest one. So he's not on a quick lap either as Parnell. No, he's bailed out as well. So that is the first runs over, folks, in qualifying. And at the minute, it is Fabrizio Donoso, the man from Chile, on pole position as things stand with that 106.138. But we have still got one more run to come. Beresney not on a quick lap either. Everyone pretty much returning to the pit lane. So, folks, it's time to tell us. We've all heard who you think will get pole, but what kind of lap time is it going to be to get that pole position? What do we think, Dan? Are we going to see a 106.0? Will we maybe even see someone into the 5s? If we do, it would be pretty special, wouldn't it?
Because I like a bit of fun, I'm going to go with a 5.9 low is what I'm going to go for our pole time. So not too much of an improvement. Still respectable enough to go just about, what, like 2 tenths up almost on your previous best for at least Donoso's case. That's what I'm going to say the pole time is going to be.
Okay, interesting. We've got a lot of people that tend to agree with you. MJ thinks it'll be a 105.978. 5.9 from Bluetooth. Sorry if I got that wrong. iLuck thinks it'll be Van Erven with a 105.999 right inside the 105s. Ben thinks it's going to be a 105 as well. Well, Gibson, 5.9. Real Madrid for life. Oh, you better get yourself packing and get that game watched, my man. It starts in 5 minutes. 106.051, he thinks. Jeffrey Zander thinks it'll be a 101. I'm sorry, what? Okay, that would be impressive. Serge thinks it'll be a 5.8. Chef Titan, 5.9. So I think the majority of people are thinking it will be a 5.9. So let's see if indeed it will be the case. But everyone going for a 5.9 at the minute. Let's see how it goes. We've got drivers now out on outlaps. The first man and the man that's furthest round, Dan, is this man, Philip Presnader. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, Presnader just looking to get the time out early. He's also likely fueled the car up a little bit more than you typically would for a final run. That's in case he makes a mistake on this lap. He can go for another push. I mean, he's only got 3 minutes left in the session, so it's going to be a bit difficult to do a lap, then an in lap, back in the pit, another out lap, and then go for a final push. So he's got to do either just one cool down lap or back-to-back runs. We'll see what he can do as he crosses the line to begin his run up towards the first corner. It's the center S's. A lot of late braking here, and already, Andy, he's backed off, so he's just going to do another hot lap in a row, another out lap in a row.
Yep, so 2 push laps, 2 out laps for Philip Presnader then. So he had us thinking we were going to get this final run underway, but it's going to fall to the hands of Matthias Van Erven. I see Real Madrid for life has got the game on his TV and PSGL on his phone. Quite right, man, quite right. Love it. I love the dedication to the PSGL action. You just can't beat it. As Matthias Van Erven starts his flying lap through the Senna S and now on through Cover de Sol and now through Decido de Lago, or down towards Decido de Lago, through the Retta Oposta, and he heads through there now with a 16.4. Van Erven pushing hard. Not for long. He's bailed out. It just seems anytime we pick someone up tonight, they want to bail out of a lap. What about Beresney? He is on a quick lap. Let's see how he goes. The Hungarian driver, as you touched on earlier on, Dan, did finish in the podium places on home soil. Wonder what he can do tonight.
Yeah, well, at the moment, he's looking pretty strong. He's a 10th up exactly in the first sector. Oh, dear. That's not going to help him, though. An invalidation at a point. You wouldn't normally see drivers cut the circuit, but he's managed to do it. And that's a really unfortunate snap of oversteer and a correction for him. Really ruined that for him. A lot of drivers, and he really struggling to get the lap times on the board. But we do have Liam Parnell yet with the time, actually. Currently pushing on his first run in Q3 with only 1 minute and 10 seconds left to go, and it's a 49.7, so that's actually not too bad of a first and second sector time for him. He's got Ronhart in behind as well. We do need to watch out for him as Liam Parnell up towards the line. We'll see what the German can do as he's going to open up the DRS. 318 kilometers per hour on the line, and he goes to the top of the order. It's provisional pole for Liam Parnell as Ronhart, and he is backed out.
Ronhart's backed out. Liam Parnell on pole position at the minute, folks. A regular feature in the final part of qualifying is Liam Parnell, but not often do we see him in P1. Are we on for a shock here? Liam Parnell to the top of the order. What about Daniele Haddad then? He's coming up to the line. Can he displace him? No, he can't. Only P2 for him. Jake Benham can though. 106.0. He goes to the top of the order. Simon Shooter, the other Red Bull, not on a hot lap at the minute, but Donoso is invalidating his latest run, so he is under a bit of pressure with that one. Danny Beresney, he's invalidated despite going a 10th quicker, so he'll be disappointed with that. His teammate though is on another lap, but there are drivers further around the racetrack on hot laps, and here is one of them, Matthijs van Erven, the young Dutchman in the Haas, looking to take top spot, taking the shortest route to the line. Is it P1? No, he stays only P8. Parnell is coming again, but not in a hot lap. So let's go to Wilson Hughes, the Scotsman, making his way to the line. Can he snatch pole position? No, he misses out and goes P2. It's Benham from Hughes, from Parnell, as things stand with the checkered flag now beginning to fall. What about your pick for pole, Dan? Here comes Thomas Ronhart.
Yeah, he's coming up towards the line now. He's just come through Jun Sao. I don't know if it's going to be enough for pole position. It could be going the way of Mercedes and Jake Benham, but here comes Thomas Ronhart up towards the line. What can he do as he crosses it now? And he stays 10th position. That's a shambles for Thomas Ronhart. Donoso into the pit lane, and that might call it for the end of qualifying. Presnader is pulling into the pits, and Haddad is not going quickly. So if you were talking about Jake Benham and Wilson Hughes being at the top of the order, they're cut above the rest, and they're just 5 thousandths in between them. But it is the young British driver taking pole position. It is Jake Benham on top in Q3.
Wow, incredible how things can turn around in sport and in esports in PSGL tonight. It was all about Donoso and Ronhart in Q2. They were the names on everyone's lips, apart from a few of you in chat. Jake Benham, what can I say about Mercedes? If Jan Otmier's out in Q1, the other one delivers. Jake Benham takes pole position here in round 12. He's the top dog in qualifying, a 106.061. Superb effort from the young Englishman.
And how about that from Liam Parnell as well, to just go about half a tenth lower than them. And Liam Parnell, he's a driver. He's been a part of the PSGL scene ever since the PlayStation days. But in this season of Tier 1, he's not been at the very top of the order. So it's great to see him mixing it in with some of the top. If you can see just at the bottom of your screen, by the way, everyone, everyone's leaving the session. That is planned. We are having a lobby restart for an ongoing glitch, which is resetting at random, really, tyre wear. So we're just doing it for everyone so we can get a fair race.
Yep, absolutely. So that is the situation at the minute. So do not go anywhere, folks. We'll have a quick hold and we'll get back with the action shortly. Jake Benham then, pole position ahead of Wilson Hughes. Liam Parnell, perhaps the start of qualifying. We'll discuss that in a moment. Simon Shooter, P4. Daniele Haddad was 5th with Presnader 6th. Donoso, he'll be disappointed with 7th, as will Beresney in 8th. Van Erven 9th, and Thomas Ronhart only 10th. He'll be very disappointed with that, Dan. Without doubt, big shock to see Donoso only 7th. And Ronhart 10th. That was the words on everyone's lips at the end of Q2.
Yeah, absolutely. But even that being said, where Donoso is down in 7th position, he was 700th off of Jake Benham's pole time. The top 8 were within a 10th of each other. And Thomas Ronhart, even being at the bottom of the order, he still wasn't that far off. So the gaps in PSGL are so marginal that, one slight mistake on a lap can completely ruin it for you. And that seemed to be the case for both Donoso and Ronhard. They're going to be starting slightly further down the order, but if their Q1 and Q2 pace can translate over into the race, then they are going to have a fun time overtaking some drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk then about that final qualifying session and who the star man was. Obviously, Jake Benham put it on pole, but there was a few surprises in there, wasn't there? Liam Parnell mainly. Dan, would you go as far as say he was the star of qualifying or the surprise package of qualifying?
I'd certainly say it was a surprise package. I wouldn't go as far as saying star because it was all so tight throughout the entirety of the session. You know, this is a very short track, so of course the times are going to be a lot closer, but still they are just crazy close at the minute. But certainly Liam Parnell isn't someone I'd expect to be in the top 3, but I'm really glad he is because I'm quite a big Liam Parnell fan. Known him for quite some time, worked on him in other leagues in the past as sort of he was the head owner of one particular league, so it's great to see him mixing it in with some of the top with his teammate as well, Time and Shooter, both Red Bulls on the second row of the grid. And might I say, I'm a bit of a PS4 bias. They're both coming from the PlayStation platform, so yeah
exactly. Well, good effort from him, no doubt about that, and a really enjoyable end to that session. So let's move on to the race now, Dan. Things very interesting. If anyone's just joined us, Jarno Opmeer, 17th on the grid, a big surprise, big shock, knocked out in the first part of qualifying. We believe that he's had issues with his stream. We can't confirm that. We've not had the chance to see that. We're just reading what people have been saying in the chat up till now. But that's what we're led to believe. And he qualified only 17th on the grid for this Grand Prix. So he'll be trying to come through the field, Dan. And I wonder just how far up the field he can get. What do you think?
Well, we know Jarno Opmeer as being the fastest driver possibly in F1 esports history and league racing history, but he's also one of the smartest, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a wacky strategy that he pulls out and makes it work. You know, sort of last week we weren't expecting, with how powerful the undercut was, we weren't expecting him to come through the field like he did and win the race, and so he did on the final lap of the Grand Prix. We could see that possibly coming back tonight. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, let's have a little look then at how things are shaping up in the championship. Just if you're joining us, Barry Bouremand and Nicholas Longuet have left the league following last week's stewards' decision. They didn't agree with it. If you haven't seen it, it was Jarno Opmeer versus Nicholas Longuet into turn 12 at the COTA circuit in Texas. There was a little argy-bargy, bit of trading paint, and the stewards ruled in favour of no action against Jarno Opmeer. Barry Bouremand and Nicholas Longuet subsequently left the league after that stewards' decision. Make of that what you want, folks. But as a result, it means whatever happens tonight, Jarno Opmeer will leave here the champion. But the big question is, can he do it in style from 17th in the grid? No doubt about it, Dan. It's almost like when you're waiting to win a league title in football and the other team drops points on the Saturday and you're playing on the Sunday and you've already won the league. It's not the best way to win it. So you want to win in front of your home fans in the final game. A bit like that tonight, isn't it, in PSGL?
Yeah, and Jarno is going to put on, you know, the best performance possible. He doesn't have to secure anything today. He's just going to go for it, I think, because there's no need to be safe anymore. He actually just can't lose the championship at this point. It's physically impossible for anybody to catch him at this point onwards. So, Jarno Opmeer, we're going to see some special stuff from him today. We're not going to call for the celebrations yet. We'll leave the champagne in the freezer just for the time being. But in about an hour, in about 45 minutes from now to an hour, we are going to see Jarno Opmeer be crowned season 30 and champion and be a 4-time PSGL champion.
Yep, the big question is, can he do it in style? Let's just run through those championship standings. Well, we've got them on your screen. Jarno Opmeer, 125 points. And, you know, it was actually quite nip and tuck earlier on in the championship until the incident in France, where Jarno Opmeer was not happy with the stewards' decision, much like Nicholas Longuet and Barry Bouremand. But rather than leave the league, he went on a bit of a rampage and won every race since bar one, where Brendan Lee won in Singapore. Barry Bouremand second on 81 points. Jake Benham third on 68. Shinaka Clay 4th on 51. Danny Beresney 44 points. Alvaro Caraton just one behind on 43. Wilson Hughes on 39, and Longay also just one behind him on 38. Brendan Lee 34, and Thomas Ronhart completing the top 10 on 28 points. Just a reminder, folks, we are restarting the lobby. We are waiting just for things to get underway. We have to restart the lobby. There is a glitch in the game, so just wait with us, folks. We will have the action in a few moments' time. That is the situation. We are waiting in the lobby. Everyone is in there, and we will have the action coming to you in a few moments. But while we wait for the action, we're just going to have a quick look at one of PSGL's great sponsors. Folks, be sure to check out the Grid Rival app, Motorsport Fantasy League app, and you know, PSGL's got its own little league on there for the Formula 1 season. You can, of course, pick and choose your drivers, whether you're a Verstappen fan, get him in your fantasy team, Leclerc, or whoever you fancy is looking very good for the Miami Grand Prix this weekend. Be sure to check it out. Join up to the PSGL Grid Rival League. It should be really exciting to go ahead against all the PSGL community. But we are moments away from getting underway, folks. Just waiting now on the drivers readying up, and we will have the action coming to you very, very shortly. Let's just talk again, Dan, briefly about this race. A very interesting front row. Jake Benham, Wilson Hughes, an Englishman and a Scotsman on the front row. Should be a really good fight between those two young guns. And we've got Jarno Opmeer coming through from 17th and Brendan Lee coming through from 12th. So two esports two-time champions coming through from outside the top 10. Should make for a great race.
Yeah, all the signs are pointing towards an absolute cracker here in PSGL today. And we've got the word. We are readying up. We're getting ready for 36 laps around this wonderful Brazilian circuit where there's been so many classic Formula 1 races in the past. Senna in 91, Hamilton in 2008, Vettel in 2012. Who's it going to be in 2022 in PSGL? Yep, really looking forward to it. It's going to be a cracking race. We're about to get underway, folks. Just waiting on the lobby, loading up, and we will be in there for the formation lap in a few moments' time. Just got one thing left to say to you folks in chat as we tick down and are about to get underway. Tell us who is going to win this Grand Prix. Get your comments in the chat now. Dan, before we jump in, who are you going for? Oh, just because it's Brazil and I like to have a bit of fun. Go with Wilson Hughes from P2. He's going to win this race. My favourite Scotsman. But Andy, you're close in behind.
You see, folks, I mean, this is the kind of friction we've got in the commentary box. We share a commentary box and I'm not even his favourite Scotsman. Unbelievable. But anyway, you can go for Wilson Hughes. I'm going to go for Brendan Lee from P12 on the grid on the alternate strategy. Brendan Lee to get his second win of the season. What we got in chat, several people going for Jarno. A lot of people saying Jake Benham. We've got Jay saying Brendan Lee. He's in agreement with me. Van Erven, goated, says Jens. Jens is going for him. Corey's given us his top three. He's gone for Hughes, Benham, Opmeer. So 2 Mercedes on the podium for him. So yeah, a lot of people going for Jarno, as you'd expect, a lot of his fans in chat, but a lot of people going for Jake Benham as well as a couple going for Lee on that alternate strategy. I suppose it's quite hard to disagree with that, Dan, isn't it? Quite a few drivers that the fans are going for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm liking that there's quite a bit of variety in the grid. It's not as clear-cut in Formula 1 where it's typically just been Leclerc or Verstappen. You know, there's a bunch of other drivers. George has gone for Damon Hill and Heinz Howard Franton, so he's just having a little joke with us.
I've accidentally pressed the wrong button there, folks, but we are back to the action. There we go, 36 laps ahead of the drivers, and you can see things are about to get very, very exciting. And there you go, there is the tyre situation for everyone. The top 10 all qualified on the soft compound, so no surprise at all there that they are on those tires. They've got to start the race, so the tires they qualified on from Q2, and they all used the soft. So Jake Benham on pole position. There he is on the soft compound tire. He's got Wilson Hughes alongside him. Liam Parnell, superb effort in qualifying. 2 Red Bulls charging in behind in 3rd and 4th. They'll be looking for a good afternoon. The Italian Daniele Haddad in 5th. Philip Presneda from 6th. Donoso disappointed with 7th, but as Dan mentioned, he wasn't actually that far away from the top 10, given how close things were in qualifying. Thomas Ronhar, 10th position for him. What can he do? Louis Welch, the padman, P11. What about Brendan Lee on the medium tyre, as is Louis Welch, though? That could be very interesting to watch how this race unfolds. And the man that everyone, the man that's on everybody's lips, his name's on everyone's lips, here he is, Jarno Opmeer, 17th on the grid. Got to be his lowest qualifying in the season, I would have thought. He's on the hard compound. Dan, you said we might see something different from Jarno. We know he's a smart driver. Is he going to make it work? The only man of this 20-car field on the hard compound.
I mean, Jarno Opmeer is pretty much the most difficult driver to outsmart on the grid. And if he's going for this strategy, it's got to be good. I mean, you know, we've doubted him so many times this season with the strategies that he pulls out, but I think now we've just got to commit to it. The Jarno Opmeer, he's going to put out something special. If he has faith in these hard compound of tyre, which have about a deficit about 1.5 seconds from the soft compound, then if he has faith, we've got to believe in him.
Well, here we go then. Brendan Lee, a lot of people tipped him for the victory tonight. He starts from 12. Can he get his second win of the season? Jarno Opmeer down in 17th, as we touched on. The only man on the hard tyre. What about the young guns at the front? Jake Benham, Wilson Hughes. What can they do? We'll find out as the 5 red lights come on here in Sao Paulo. And the Brazilian Grand Prix in PSGL is go! Good start from Jake Benham. He looks like it's a safe lead for him. Wilson Hughes trying to fight back and does well in the second phase of the start. Simon Shooter, round the outside he goes. Might even take the lead through. Take P2 through turn 2. He can't. We've watched Louis Welch already at the start of this Grand Prix. Will that lead to a safety car? It will lead to a virtual safety car. And already there is a halt at the start of this race. Dan, I didn't quite see it, but Louis Welch round and spinning.
Yeah, Louis Welch out of this race. I think there's some damage for Ronhar as well. He's down in 19th position. I saw Will Murdoch said that Louis Welch was going to do the business today. I think it was a bit of a jinx for him there, but the VSC has been deployed. It was the dream start for Jake Benham. He's now been reeled in at the site of that VSC. Really unfortunate for him there, but if that start pace is what we're going to see from him for the rest of the race, he's going to be blitzing away.
Yep, 36 laps ahead of the drivers, but a very early virtual safety car as we lose Louis Welch almost immediately from this Grand Prix, folks. What a shame for the padman as we're about to get back underway. We're just waiting for that virtual safety car to end, and Wilson Hughes will be right on the back of Jake Benham, waiting for it to end and maybe try and pounce almost immediately. So let's have a look at the position changes so far. Simon Shooter up 1 ahead of Liam Parnell, almost got ahead of Wilson Hughes as well. And Brendan Lee is coming in already, Dan.
That is very audacious. And we've got Jarno Opmeer, Carter Lundy and Thomas Ronhar all into the box now. We'll see what tyres they're all deciding to fit. Brendan Lee, he's getting a wing change. Brendan Lee changing the front wing, as is Carter Lundy. Is Jarno Opmeer getting that front wing change? I think he's decided to box onto a set of softs. Oh dear. As we get back underway, Andy, Wilson Hughes, he's jumped the gun a bit and he's got a time penalty.
Oh, Wilson Hughes, what a disaster. Time penalty for him. So that's both our picks for victory in the wars. Brendan Lee needing a new front wing, as was Jarno Opmeer. Meanwhile, Wilson Hughes has got a penalty as well. This is incredible how this has unfolded already. Jarno got damage, Brendan got damage, as did Carter Lundy and Thomas Ronhar. So many drivers with damage, and that is really going to hurt their races. And now, does that open this race up for a bit of a shock here, or is it going to be a canter for Jake Benham out front? Let's wait and see. He is in the lead at the minute. What can Simon Shooter do? He's tucked up behind Wilson Hughes, but at the minute it's not close enough for a move. A man who might be is this man, Danny Beresney, right behind Philip Presneda as they run down towards turn 1. Is he going to think about a move into that first corner? Not quite, as we've got several fastest laps being posted. Nope, no move for Beresney. He stays P7. But wow, look at that. Brendan Lee, 18 seconds off the back of De Capua. Opmeer a further 2.6 off the back of him.
So they're going to have to go for as long as they can. Yano's fitted the soft, so he's going to have to pit again. There's no way they make it to the end. It's going to be a really tough journey for him back up the order. I think he's going to be praying for a safety car. All the drivers in the bottom 5 are going to want the safety car to come out and save their races.
Yep, absolutely. Not going to plan at all for both our two-time F1 Esports champions. Brendan Lee 16th, Jarno Opmeer 17th, and I'm going to say it again. Barry Bunneman, Nicholas Longy. Well, particularly Barry Bunneman, where are you? Your championship rival 17th. You could have been here taking a massive amount out of this championship lead and continuing this on to the second last race. You never know what's going to happen. And in the end, he's left, and it's an open goal for Jarno Opmeer to win the title, even from 17th. Incredible. Anyway, across the line, Wilson Hughes, also close to the back of Jake Benham, but not quite close enough to make the move. But Dan, it just goes to show anything can happen. Why would you leave?
Yep, they leave because unfortunately they threw their toys out the pram. But you know, I think we got to digress from this subject as we got a race on our hands. Danny Beresnay at the moment is really looking like he's trying to make the move on Philip Presneder as soon as possible, and he's just about a tenth shy off the back of the Ferrari car. Of course, his former seat in this championship now occupying the McLaren, of course, vacated by Buraman, and I think the Hungarian, he wants to get a move on.
Yeah, well, Beresnay going for the move. He's looking very, very racy behind Philip Presneder, but at the minute, not quite able to do so. Looking like a really good battle in the midfield of this Grand Prix. Matthias van Erven also very close to the back of Fabrizio Donoso as well, as they make their way up the hill to end another lap. And Van Erven looking a little bit racy and wants to try and make that move, but Beresnay up ahead, he really looks racy as Wilson Hughes makes an early stop, and here comes Beresnay down the inside and passes Presneder into turn 1, moves into P5. It's been coming for a while, Dan. Finally the move is completed.
That was nice stuff from Danny Beresnay there, and we'll see if Presneder's got any attack left in him. I don't believe so. Dario Yamulo, who joined late in this session, he didn't partake in qualifying. He's close to the rear of Joost Noordijk, as the Alfa Romeo is looking like they're doing battle. Ben Zabakonyi goes up the inside of Tino Nalkarin, and that's for P9 on circuit. But here comes the Finn climbing up towards Ferradura, closing to his teammate, and these two, they're going to be scrapping it out for the next few laps. But at the moment, it's Hungary on top.
Yep, Hungary, look, well, what a battle it is. 9th and 10th, they are fighting away, the two Alfa Romeos. I wonder what Fred Vasseur thinks of that one as they continue to scrap away. Look at this, though. This is brilliant stuff. Parnell running in third position. We've got Haddad hassling and harrying him all the way as they make their way up the hill. And Haddad is not hanging around. He's going round the outside at the highest point of the racetrack. And as they sweep downhill, he will be through. That was so close there between them all. We're 3 wide down the straight. Look at this. Brilliant stuff as Beresnay moves into P4. Parnell has been swamped and through he goes as Simon Shooter, meanwhile, has got ahead of Jake Benham as well. Action everywhere.
Yeah, it's all kicking off throughout the grid, and it's Simon Shooter, the Dutchman, on top at the moment. But Liam Parnell's going to be feeling a bit hard done by as one Red Bull moves up, the other moves down, and Presneder could be prying on the rear of that Red Bull Honda as Tino Nakarinen, it's actually Joost Noordijk and Dario Yamulo drawing swords and battling each other as they climb up the hill. Andy, at the moment on lap number 6, we still have 31 laps left in this Grand Prix, and it's action everywhere.
Action absolutely everywhere. This is what we love to see in PSGL tonight. Jarno Opmeer, Brendan Lee, two champions, might be in the wars and down in 16th and 17th places, but there's still action absolutely everywhere on this racetrack. And Presneder, Donoso, Parnell, that scrap really taking shape. Parnell clearly struggling for pace after that great qualifying session. He has been swamped, and we're now going to ride on board with Donoso and get a great shot of this as Presneder is on the attack in the Ferrari. It's a charging bull against a prancing horse into turn 1, but at the minute the bull stays in front as Donoso tries to line them up through the Senna S and now through Cover de Sol and down the Retra Oposta. Looks like it's going to be a really good fight between them as we stay on board with Donoso, but at the minute no sign of a move being made between those drivers. They're all happy where they are for now.
Absolutely. I'm really impressed with how they've all carried themselves in this Grand Prix so far. It's been a very enjoyable watch, and hopefully all 2.3 thousand of you watching are enjoying this race as Donoso goes up the inside of a disconnected Philip Presnader down in towards turn number 7 there, I believe that was, or turn 6. That's unfortunate for Presnader, who's having connection issues, and that's put him down into 8th position as Matthijs van Erven is able to get on by. But as they carry on through the final sector now, where we could see some more battling like we've seen so far in this Grand Prix. It's been a tantalizing watch today as Fabrizio Donoso seems to be the closest to his rival. DRS enabled for the Chilean, but in this DRS train, Andy, it is so difficult to overtake. Is Haddad possibly going to make it work on Jake Benham as he closes in towards the center S's? He gets close to that Mercedes, but not quite enough. If he gets a good run through Curva del Sol, then we could see the Italian man in the Williams attacking Jake Benham, but no ERS being utilised down this back straight and in towards the Cida del Lago. They're all going to stay as they were on lap number 8.
Meanwhile, here comes Jarno Otmir on Brendan Lee, and that's going to be pretty easy given the difference of the tyres. Otmir passes Brendan Lee, he's up to 15th place. Not quite as dramatic as we saw from the two of them last week as they fought at turn 1 in Texas, but Otmir through on Lee, he's on softs. Lee going to the end on the hards as we can now shuffle back further down the field. Further up the field, sorry. Daniele Haddad still scrapping away with Jake Benham, Simon Shootout and Danny Beresney. Quite the battle going on here as we watch them make their way through the final sector now. Shooter leads from Benham in 2nd. Shooter started this race from 4th. As you can now see, he's up 3 places. Jake Benham down 1, but the action is all happening here as they now make their way over that start-finish line to begin lap 9 of 36. It's been hectic stuff so far in this Grand Prix. Not quite any moves as they make their way into turn 1 this time by, but boy oh boy, Dan, it's getting very, very close between all of those drivers at the front of the field as the Alfa Romeos swap round again.
Yeah, but Donoso looks to be making the move on Liam Parnell, and there's more battling at the top of the order because Haddad is going to look to go around the outside possibly on Jake Benham. Donoso makes the move stick on Parnell. That's another position lost for the German driver. Haddad couldn't quite find the avenue on Jake Benham, but that Williams car is looking very, very competitive, currently controlled by the Italian man, number 92, and he's looking very impressive so far.
Yeah, Haddad looking very strong, as is Jake Benham. They're all looking strong. Everyone in that top 5. Parnell just dropping backwards ever so slightly, having started 3rd in this Grand Prix. As we now watch them all funnel their way down the hill. Wilson Hughes has made his stop. He's returned onto the track in P14. So it looks like that was a clear intention to do a 2-stop from Wilson Hughes. Remember, he was right up at the sharp end with Benham at the front of this field. So a clear 2-stop from him perhaps as they cross the line again. And Haddad has the bit between his teeth. He goes to the right hand side. 3 wide down the straight. Absolutely incredible into turn 1. And Shooter somehow still leads. Jake Benham 2nd and Haddad in 3rd. Wow, that was absolutely epic. Going into the first corner, and here comes round 2. Benham can't pick a line. Haddad's picked the outside. Benham also tries round the outside of Simon Shooter. Can't quite get through. But wow, we've been treating to some great racing between the front 5 here.
Yeah, how has that not seen any overtake? Maybe Daniel Haddad could prove us wrong as he gets so close to the rear of Jake Benham. We're going to have a little bit of a break in the action through the 2nd sector. Very difficult to find an overtake, but Haddad was on the cross at one point in towards turn number 1, and somehow he kept it on the island. That was a really impressive run for him, but we're going to see it all over again because the grid is closer than ever. The top 7 all within DRS of each other, led by a Red Bull and tailed by a Red Bull car at the same time. As here they go on to the start finish straight through John Sao corner they go. It is going to be Simon Shooter leading from Benham and Daniele Haddad in behind. Can he finally get on by on that Mercedes as he's closing up towards turn number 1, not using any of the ERS? Oh, there's a little bit of a lag spike there for Jake Benham as he almost glitches back into the Williams car as here they go through the curve at El Sol. It is Haddad 1/10 behind Jake Benham. He pulls to the right hand side down this back straight through the rest of Robosa they go and out towards the Cida del Lago. He's got to go around the outside through here, but he just can't find an avenue. And say what you want about Haddad trying his best to attack here, Benham is doing a spectacular job at defending.
Well, I've got to say, these guys are putting on a superb show. The front 7 all locked walk together in a line, putting on some superb action tonight here in PSGL. And there's nearly 2,500 of you sitting here enjoying it with us. It's been a brilliant, breathless opening 11 laps here tonight in Brazil. One action, and as someone quite rightly pointed out in chat, I almost forgot Wilson Hughes. He didn't pit for a pit stop, he pitted because he had that drive-through penalty for speeding onto the VC. But look at Jake Benham here. He has got the pit between his teeth and he's fed up being attacked by Haddad, and maybe he now feels it's time to go for the pits. I was going to say go for the lead, he's going for the pits instead. He's pulling the trigger on the undercut, Dan.
Yep, so that's going to be Jake Benham, the only driver in the top 7 coming into the box. He's going to be overtaken by all the medium runners now, and we'll see how that affects the activity down in the pit lane, as Danny Berejnay looks like he's close to the rear of Haddad, and Haddad looks close to Timon Shooter as they close up in towards turn number 4. No moves being made, but you get the feeling, Andy, that these guys are going to go for it. They've got to pit and cover off that undercut from Jake Benham, who emerges from the pit lane clear of anyone at the moment. He's in complete clear air. He's got no competition at this point in time. So really, Jake Benham, he's got to be in one of the best positions.
Yeah, he's got to get the boot down and go at the minute and try and see where he will rejoin the racetrack. Let's see how he gets on. So he continues on his way. Meanwhile, Shooter, Haddad and Berejnay still in a brilliant scrap at the front of the field. Will any of them come into the pits on this lap? You feel they've got to try and cover off Jake Benham, or are they going to go that little bit longer? Here they go then, down the start-finish straight to begin another lap. And is there any pit stops? No, there is not. And Haddad feels like he wants to hit the front. Here comes the Italian in the Williams, down the inside. Look at that round the outside from Shooter. Absolutely brilliant racing. Berejnay in there too. Absolutely superb stuff. But Daniele Haddad has hit the front of the field. Shooter's getting it all wrong. And now Berejnay is going to swallow him up. Berejnay on the inside. And look at that. Donoso's in there too. Berejnay sticks it down the inside. Gets into P2. Gets ahead of Shooter. What brilliant driving between these drivers at the front of the field. Haddad, Berejnay and Shooter. But Shooter ain't giving it up. He's trying to hang in there. Can't quite manage it. And it's Berejnay up to second place. What a battle between the front 5 cars.
They were all so close to contact with one another, but they managed to come out completely unscathed, and that is the level of driving that you get in PSGL. And if you want to see more races like that, make sure you subscribe and like this video, as here they go in towards the start-finish straight once again to begin lap number 14. But will we be greeted by any pit stops? Is Daniele Haddad leading from Danny Berejnay as they close down the main straight? And there it's Haddad and Shooter into the pits, as well as Van Erven. So it leaves just Donoso and Berejnay out on circuit as they close up towards turn number 1. No moves being made at this point in time, but you get the feeling the pit stop window is well and truly upon us.
Yep, it's underway. Now let's see where Jake Benham will be in relation to those that have pitted. So Haddad, Van Erven and Shooter all in the pit lane now. Where will Benham be? Can you see them? I can just about make them out on the right hand side from this rear wing shot as Jake Benham makes his way through turn 1, and he will easily clear them as they go on to another lap. There's Haddad coming out of the pit lane. Jake Benham well and truly in front, and now the race is on to catch him. He's got 1 lap fresher tyres, Jake Benham, but Haddad, Parnell and Shooter will all try to reel him in, as will Van Erven.
Absolutely. So Jake Benham making the most of that undercut, but he does have about 2 laps more worn out tyres, and that will be crucial towards the end of this Grand Prix, as Berejnay and Donoso, both of those two yet to pit on the set of their soft compound tyre, as they're going to close up in towards the pit lane. You get the feeling, Andy, they've got to pit now. Donoso wants to clear him now, as he actually goes around the outside. The pair of them staying out on circuit, and we're seeing a move for the lead of this race. It's Fabrizio Donoso starting in P7. Now he takes the lead on lap number 15.
And here are the Alfa Romeos swapping places again, as we've seen so many times already in this Grand Prix. They're just helping each other, I think, through the DRS zones and swapping positions around as Nakarunen retakes Chabaconnier. We've seen that so often tonight. What about De Capua? He started down at the back, had a qualifying ban. Good little scrap here at the tail of that medium runner group. De Capua right in there, tucked up behind Duncan Hoffland and Joost Noordijk. So the Alpine and the Williams just ahead of the Aston Martin at the minute. But we had a great scrap between the soft runners, and now we're getting the same between the medium group, aren't we, Dan?
Yeah, it's sort of the natural progression of the tyres. Now the mediums are the tyre to be on, and soon actually we're going to see some of these guys catch the back of them. Wilson Hughes hasn't pitted yet. He's still on his set of soft compound of tyres. So it is Jake Benham in the net lead of this Grand Prix. And he's about 4-5 seconds adrift from the back of Alessio Di Capua before he starts catching traffic. As here's Donoso into the pit lane. Danny Berezny staying out once again. The Hungarian really putting his faith into these soft compound of tyre, and they certainly do last long around this track, so you've got to respect it, as now Karinen gets by on Jabakony once again, and that might be probably the 15th overtake that we've seen between the Alfa Romeos.
Yeah, the Alfa Romeos just swapping place in place, and you know what? Why not give us another one down the straight? Yeah, why not? There we go. And the Alfa Romeos swap round again for the 100th time in 16 laps, and through goes Shabakony ahead of Nakarinen once more. And Donoso, he's going to come out just behind Matthias Van Erven, as you'd expect, but he's got a lap fresher than Van Erven and Shootout, 2 laps fresher than Parnell, a lap fresher than Haddad, and 3 laps fresher than the man at the front of this group, Jake Benham. So could that come into play for Fabrizio Donoso later on? And what about Danny Berezny? Is he going to come into the pits this time round? Perhaps he will. We'll wait and see.
I mean, if they're all DRS training in behind him on fresher tyres, he's got to come in at some point. He's not going to be making any time up on them. And there he is into the pit lane, the last of the soft runners in that original top 7. That's going to allow for Jabakony and Tino Naukarinen, who might once again swap places in towards turn number 1. They'll be leading this race, and certainly Frederick Vasseur is going to be very pleased about how this race is going so far. Where will Berezny emerge in comparison to his rivals, as he's just coming out of the pit lane now? Benham has just come in towards turn number 1. He's going to have the tighter run through the first corner, but I'd say comfortably he's going to be behind this train.
Yep, but he will be ahead of Brendan Lee, so he should be okay. We'll rejoin right in behind Fabrizio Donoso, and he's only got 2 tenths to make up to get himself within DRS territory, as we see a move there. We missed it. Shooter getting ahead of Liam Parnell, so good move there from Simon Shooter. Gets the job done, and Parnell finds himself in a Dutch sandwich, and Van Erven might be keen to make the move as well. Oh, down the inside, Matthias Van Erven. What a move that is, catching Liam Parnell unawares, and the Dutchman flies through into 11th. What a lovely move that was.
And I think Donoso is going to channel his inner Van Erven, because he's closing to the rear of Parnell and through Magulio and in towards John Sau. He's going to go up the inside. Oh my goodness me. Donoso with a fantastic overtake there. Liam Parnell really caught lacking by the pair of them at this point. And the Alpine up into P12. Wilson Hughes comes into the box. So it is Jake Benham in the net race lead. He's got 3.5 seconds of clear air until he catches the medium runners who started on this compound. So it's going to be still, Andy, at the halfway point of this Grand Prix. We've got a cracking race on our hands.
Yeah, we do. And look at this. This is still all happening between the medium runners. Now, Jake Benham has got a little bit of a issue here. A few people saying in chat that he's got this in the back. I'm not too sure he does. He has got a 1.5 second cushion over Daniele Haddad. If he can keep that, then it would be comfortable. But the problem he has is he's about to run in to this traffic. He needs them in the pits, but I don't think they'll be pitting anytime soon. So he's going to be caught by those guys if those guys don't get out the way in front of him. So Benham could be reeled in very, very quickly, and he's on older tyres.
He's closed up by about a second on this lap alone to Alessio Di Capua. So Jake Benham is certainly catching at a rate of knots, and I imagine with 20 laps to go left in this Grand Prix, they're not going to be making any pit stops anytime soon. It's at the top of the order. Dario Yamuno tries to go around the outside of Naukarinen in towards turn number 1. The fastest lap comes out from Fabrizio Donoso. So those medium runners who have already boxed in this race are making the moves, and they're certainly doing their best to catch up to all the runners in front of them and put themselves into the best position come the end of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, and if you just joined us, folks, Jarno Opmeer out in qualifying 1, only 17th on the grid, and it led to him getting involved in carnage at the first corner. Damage to his wing. Same for Brendan Lee, who started 12th, and Thomas Ronhart and Carter Lundy. They all sustained damage. Louis Welch retired on that opening lap, and that is why, if you've just joined us, they're in lowly positions of 14th and 15th, and some 8 seconds off the back of Liam Parnell in 13th. So they are trying to get back into this Grand Prix. They might need a safety car, but don't go anywhere, folks. You never know what can happen in PSGL. Anything can happen, and it usually does. Anyway, back to the medium runners, and here is Joost Noordijk at the minute in 4th position, chasing down the others as Nakarunen finally pits. And some of these guys are now coming in, and that will please Jake Benham, Dan, won't it? He might not have to clear any of these drivers, but the problem he has is Haddad is cutting that gap down and is very nearly within DRS territory now.
Yeah, once he gets within that 1 second window that he needs to be able to utilize the DRS, he's going to be in a much easier position to catch up to Jake Benham. So he has not got this in the bag. By no means he is safe at this point. Neither is Van Erven, because he's got a wild Donoso on his rear coming up towards Ferradura. Can he do what Van Erven did to Parnell a few laps ago? He stays back for the time being, but Donoso is looking like one of the quickest drivers in this race at the moment. Of course, one of the top 2 in Q1 and Q2. How can he fare at the moment as he closes towards the Haas through the Albon and Hamilton crash corner? I don't really know the name of it, so I'm just going off the memories that I have. But in towards Junsao they go, and hopefully we can see some overtakes in towards turn number 1, Andy.
Yeah, maybe we will. Lap 20 now out of 36 here in round 12 in PSGL. It's been an interesting race as Shabakonye is in the pits, as is Dario Yamilo, and Van Erven getting a little bit closer to his fellow countryman Thymen Shooter into turn 1, but not close enough to make a move through that first corner. 15 laps of action still to go. Joost Noordijk now leads from Duncan Hofland. They've both yet to stop. Jake Benham almost caught them now, but will they pit before Haddad gets within DRS territory? Benham will be desperate to keep Haddad out of DRS. If he can, it will make the afternoon a lot more comfortable for him. And what Benham would love is for Thymen Shooter to go attacking Haddad, because that will allow him to increase his gap a little bit, Dan, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and Thymen Shooter certainly has the resource available to do that. Haddad is on about, what, 27% ERS level? Thymen Shooter has got 60, so he really does have the option to go on the attack and possibly close to Jake Benham and put himself into that net P2. We'll have to wait and see what the Dutchman decides to do. He's actually using some of his ERS to just keep within touch of Haddad, who seemingly has the superior pace, but now the Dutchman is using the ERS and he is going to begin to close on this main straight, but he has Van Erven for company in behind as well, so Thymen Shooter could actually be on the defensive at the moment, and Donoso is beginning to close as well as they pile in towards the first corner. No moves being made at this point, but they're all concertinaing up together, and Thymen Shooter might again want to go on the attack, but Daniele Haddad does have the DRS now on Jake Benham as they close up towards turn number 1, and in all that, Andy, no moves being made.
No moves being made, and that is the key for Daniele Haddad, the Italian driver. 2 lap fresher tyres than Jake Benham, and now within DRS territory. What can Benham do? Can he fend him off? We've seen some great defending from Benham earlier on in the Grand Prix against Haddad, I believe it was as well. Well, are we going to see some more fireworks between them, Dan? Perhaps we might. It's going to be very interesting to see how things pan out in this Grand Prix as Nakarunen further down the order is getting himself ahead of Brendan Lee on those 19 lap old hard tyres. The likes of Lee and Otmir pretty much praying for a safety car at this point of the Grand Prix. So then, Hofland leads at the minute. Jake Benham's got himself in behind him. Will Hofland peel into the pits? Yes, he will. And now he resumes the lead, just Jake Benham ahead of Haddad, Shooter, Van Erven and Donoso. So people in chat, time to get your opinions in. We've got 13 laps to go in this race. Who do we think is going to come out on top with the victory? Is track position key with Jake Benham? Or are the drivers with fresher tyres in behind, there they all are, going to take the victory? Tell us what you think in chat now, folks. We're always interested to hear what your opinions are here at PSGL.
Yeah, I'm not too sure at this point who's going to come out on top, but I do know that Zabakonyi wants to get by on Alessio de Capua. We've seen them all be overtaking Brendan Lee, who's beginning to sink like a stone on his hard tyres. I'm still seeing calls for Jarno to win this race, and well, I do love a good comeback story, but at this point, Andy, it is going to be very, very difficult for the Dutchman to come out on top. He's been overtaken by Duncan Hofland, of course, getting wing damage on lap number 1, and reportedly from the live chat, he's got floor damage as well, so it's not looking good at all for the Dutchman. Not
looking good at all. It's not been a very happy Grand Prix for him here in Brazil, and I've said it already, I'll say it again. Barry Buneman must be kicking himself. He could have came here tonight and cut that championship lead, but no, he has not done so. And it's a shame that those drivers chose to leave the league, he and Nicholas Longe. But here is Simon Shooter. He's on the march and he's going for P2. He's pulling alongside Haddad. Is he going to get the move done? He breaks that a little bit later than the Italian. And the young Dutchman is through up into second place. Well, Jarno Otmir, another Dutchman, might be faltering. It's going well for Shooter tonight. He shoots up to second place. Next up, Jake Benham.
Great overtake from Simon Shooter. And if I had to go for anyone to win this race, you know what, just for a bit of fun, I'm going to say Simon Shooter is going to come out on top. And that is at this point in the race. I'm not going to count it as my prediction. I already made mine at the beginning of the race, and that's gone a little bit awry at this point. I think both of us have been sort of derailed in this Grand Prix, but we'll see what the Dutchman can pull out on Jake Benham. He's about 5/10 adrift from the Mercedes, so it's not looking like he's going to be able to make a move at this point in this race. Possibly, though, Donoso could close up, as well as Matthijs van Erven, who's getting close towards Daniele Haddad on the main straight, and he's going to pull to the outside line in towards turn number 1. They bang wheels in towards the braking zone. Here he goes around the outside. He's got the inside for the center S's, but it's got to be the long way round at the curve at El Sol. He's made that move stick. What about Donoso in behind as Daniele Haddad beginning to struggle in this race? Here comes Donoso to the outside line in towards Encina del Lago as he goes around the outside. Can he make the move stick? He's off the circuit. He's going to have to rejoin in behind the Williams car, but he's not giving it up. As in towards Ferratura corner he goes. He could go around the outside. He has to commit to this move. He really wants to go for it, but Andy, at this point, he just can't get close enough. And Fabrizio Donoso tried his hardest, but Daniele Haddad, he was really good defensively there.
Yeah, Haddad getting the elbows out. He won't get them out this time. Donoso sends it up the inside, barges him aside, and that now allows Beresney to try and pick up the crumbs from the battle. Can't quite do it, but Donoso there going for broke and bundling his way alongside Haddad and through. Haddad might not be happy. Meanwhile, Simon Shooter coming up behind Jake Benham. Is he going to go for the move into turn 1, or is he just going to wait it out? He looks like he's going to wait it out. Here comes Danny Beresney though, round the outside of Daniele Haddad. Can he get it done? Looks like he can. Haddad going backwards. Beresney up now to P6, but he got a bit of a slide off the corner, but Haddad cannot respond.
Simon.
Oh, Shooter taking the lead, shooting through and getting ahead of Jake Benham as Van Erven also tries to get involved. Look at this. This is absolutely brilliant stuff here with 10 laps to go. Benham going backwards. Round the outside goes Van Erven. Can he make it stick? No, he can't. Shooter now leads and Van Erven's doing it again. Did it earlier in the race. Can't make it work this time, and Benham just about clings on, Dan. This is hard to keep up with.
And we've just got over 10 laps to go in this race, so it's still all to play for. These guys are continually chopping and changing position. At this point, Andy, it's not looking too great in comparison to the softs. They've been able to close about 3 seconds maybe since they came out of the pit lane. We'll see how they all fare as they climb up the hill to the peak of the circuit at the exit of Junsao and onto the main straight. Matthijs van Erven looks like he's trying to make the move on Jake Benham, as well as Danny Beresney, as Matthijs van Erven switches it to the outside. They're 3 abreast in towards the first corner. Timon holding the inside. Oh dear, Jake Benham's been spun. He's been hit. Van Erven sends him into a spin, and Benham sends down the order. He cracks through the polystyrene barrier, and that is not going to be pleasing any of the Benham fans today, as he is now sent crashing down the order. Yamulo's going to be able to clear him very, very easy on his fresher soft compound of tyre. Benham doesn't seem like he wants to let up though, as it's disaster for the Mercedes.
Well, it's just going from bad to worse for Mercedes this afternoon. Jake Benham sent spinning like a top as Van Erven stuck it down the inside. It's not gone to plan. It was incredible stuff going down the start-finish straight, and they almost all collided into that first corner, but in the end, Benham is the unlucky one with the short straw. Goes for a spin, but Beresney there, after the spin, was trying to go round the outside of Van Erven. Couldn't quite do it. Is he now the dark horse to win this Grand Prix? He's got 3 lap fresher tyres than both Shooter and Van Erven. So it's the Hungarian against the 2 Dutch drivers, and at the minute, Beresney is looking good, but Van Erven wants to go for the move into turn 1, does he? No, not quite close enough to get away ahead of Diamond Shooter. But wow, we had 5, we've now only got 4. Shooter, Van Erven, Beresney and Daniele Haddad fighting for victory, and here we go again. Here comes Van Erven getting closer. Is he going to go for the inside line? Not quite. Stays in behind the Red Bull. Wow, this is absolutely epic.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that Jake is most likely going to be reporting that incident. If Van Erven is found guilty, then he's going to be taken out of the fight for this win. As we did see, by the way, Donoso's boxed, and he's unfortunately picked up some wing damage, so he's got to replace that front wing there. And so it's going to be a 4-car fight for the win of this race. Currently led by Timon Shooter, Matthijs van Erven in behind, Danny Berejne. You're right about the tyres, Andy. That is really going to make the difference in the dying laps. As here they go up towards Junsao corner now. Timon Shooter's got a 5/10 of a second lead over Matthijs van Erven. That's going to come crashing down on this main straight as the DRS has been enabled for the Haas driver, the Dutchman, going to do battle with his fellow countryman as he pulls to the inside line. I don't think Shooter wants to fight this too much. There goes Van Erven to the inside line. He makes the move stick and he is into the lead of this Grand Prix. Is Berejne going to capitalise though and possibly try and fight Timon Shooter down this back straight? Or maybe is Simon going to go back up the inside of Van Erven as they close up towards turn number 4? No moves being made. So it is at this point, Andy, Matthijs van Erven ahead of Timon Shooter and then Danny Berejne in P3.
Tell you what, we've not spoke about this yet. It's just slowly creeping up on us. I'm just going to change the gap to the leader. Dario Yamiulo, 6th place on the soft tyre, 6.2 seconds off the lead with 7 laps to go. Well then, can Dario Yamiulo get to the medium runners? Will he have enough life in the tyres to catch, pass and win the race? We've not even spoke about that yet, but the medium runners are fighting so ferociously that the soft runners might get there. So, do not go anywhere, folks. It could be very, very interesting indeed to see how things pan out here. Anyway, here we go for another big battle between the top 3 into turn 1, and this is just helping the soft runners even more. Nearly 3 wide again. Down the inside goes Shooter. Berejne outside line, can't quite find a route. Ahead of Timon Shooter, who gets a superb launch coming off of the Cover de Sol and Senna S. Now down the Retra Oposta, thinking about the inside line is Timon Shooter, but only thinking, no more than that, as the front 4 pile through the 4th corner on this racetrack. What a battle, and all the while Dario Yamiulo is getting closer. Look at that, it was 6 and a bit seconds a moment ago. It's now only 5.1. Yamiulo is absolutely flying, Dad.
Yeah, the gap is tumbling at the moment, but he only has a few laps left to make it, and it's one thing to catch a driver, it's another to overtake. So I'd say these drivers at the front who are fighting on the mediums are still the favourites to win this Grand Prix, but I would not be surprised if Dario Yamiulo is going to be able to fix up some battles later on in this race. As here they go to begin lap number 31. We have 5 laps left to go in this race. Danny Berejne looks like he's close to Timon Shooter, who's going to be closing to his fellow countryman Matthijs van Erven. They're all going to close up towards turn number 1. Here they go into the braking zone. Is it going to be Berejne up the inside of Shooter for P2? He goes down the inside there, wheel to wheel now, off the exit and through the curve at El Sol. Danny Berejne can't make the move stick this time by, but he's got the better momentum on the Red Bull car. DRS enabled, and he's sucking into the wheel tracks of Timon. He can't get on by, but he's closing, oh dear, and towards turn number 4. Can't quite make the move stick. Possibly if he gets a good run out of here on the climb towards Berejura corner, he can look to the outside line. Danny Berejne has found a gap, but he can't squeeze through it. Timon Shooter putting up a defensive masterclass at the moment.
Absolutely brilliant stuff at the front of this Grand Prix. I tell you what though, Dario Yamiulo must be licking his lips, seeing these medium runners scrapping so ferociously. He, Nakarudin and Shabas Konye are coming at them very, very quickly. This could be a grandstand finish here tonight in PSGL. The gap now down to 4.7. It's nearly 7/8 a lap at the minute that Yamiulo is catching. Can he catch them quickly enough? 4.5 seconds now the gap. But he gets a little bit wide coming out of that next corner. Back to the front. It's Van Erven leading. Shooter second. We're on board with Danny Berejne. Is he this time going to go for the move? He's going to think about it. Shooter goes for the move though. Down the inside on Van Erven. Takes the lead of the race. Van Erven though will get the better exit coming out of the Senna S. And through the Cover de Sol we go. We now pick up this wonderful helicopter shot. Look at the McLaren. He's going to be boxed in. Berejne nowhere to go as Van Erven tries to regain the lead. He will regain the lead. Absolutely incredible fighting between the 2 Dutch drivers as well as Danny Berejne. Berejne round the outside into Ferradura. That would be an incredible move, but he can't quite do it and he remains stuck in P3. And the more they fight, the more the likes of Dario Yamiulo will gain. What a race!
This is fantastic stuff in PSGL here in Brazil in the dying laps of the Brazilian Grand Prix. We're getting all the action at this point. Jan Ortmir down in 18th sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Here they go once again through Junsao, where we've seen so many battles taking place. Danny Beresnay looks closer than ever to Time and Shooter, and he's using all the battery down this main straight as here he goes in towards turn number 1. They're going to be 3 abreast into turn 1. Here they go, Time and Shooter to the outside line. Danny Beresnay splitting the middle. He's now on the inside of the Red Bull as it's going to be Shooter, Beresnay, Van Erven as they come through the cover. Del Sol, but Beresnay has the DRS on Time and Shooter. Here he goes down in towards turn number 4, and for the first time in this race, Danny Beresnay leading the way. He goes up the inside. Van Erven sees an opportunity and he overtakes the Red Bull. His fellow countryman of Time and Shooter up towards Ferradura now. Can Van Erven find an opportunity on Danny Beresnay? He can't quite. But again, Andy, we are being treated at the moment to some absolutely fantastic racing.
Is that the winning move then from Danny Beresnay? We'll have to wait and see. He's now on the fresher tyres by 3 laps. So is that the crucial moment? He's been having to wait and wait and wait. And now, by the way, finally, Yamilo's caught the first of the medium runners, and it's Liam Parnell. So he should make that move soon. Can, though, Van Erven do anything about Danny Beresnay? Will Beresnay get DRS from Phillips Presnader's laggy car? He will, and that's massive for Danny Beresnay. Massive moment in the race, massive slice of fortune by picking up that DRS from Philip Presnader. Huge moment as Jubilo is now up into 5th place as we suspected, but Van Erven ain't giving this up. He knows there's a chance of a win here in PSGL tonight. He's picking up the DRS, he's using the battery, he's now going to line up Beresnay, who covers the inside. Van Erven thinks about the outside line but can't find a way through and stays in 2nd place for the minute. Shabakonye has gone ahead of Yumulo. He's now the lead soft runner, catching this pack of drivers who are battling ferociously, but I think he's going to run out of laps in terms of catching this group, Dan.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a 4-car fight for the win of this race between Danny Beresnay, Matthijs van Erven, Time and Shooter, and Daniele Haddad. We've not seen too much of his battling at some point, but I think he could get the elbows out and try and take the fight to the top 3 who've been going at it, burning their tyres for so many laps now. As here they go up through Junsao corner. Matthijs van Erven does not look close at all to Danny Beresnay, so I think the DRS has really helped out the McLaren driver, but he's going to be able to close down the main straight. No DRS for the McLaren, and the Haas is going to take full advantage as he closes in towards the first corner. Who's going to meet the brake zone first? It's Haddad going the inside of Time and Shooter, so they're all making the moves as here they go through the curve at El Sol. It's going to be Haddad looking to make the move stick on Time and Shooter. He has to go the long way around through turn number 4, and he's going to make the move stick into the braking zone. There's the move made, but he goes off the circuit and Time and Shooter retakes it.
Oh, incredible. Action absolutely everywhere here. And Haddad having another look up the inside, but no more than a look as Beresnay continues to hold out in front. Let's have a look at the ERS management. Danny Beresnay, 55% in his pocket. Van Erven, 46%. So, is the DRS going to be key here for Van Erven? He needs to stay within range of Danny Beresnay. Is he going to be able to do that and try and regain the lead of this Grand Prix? We're about to start the final lap here in Brazil. We're going to crown a champion in a few moments' time as Jarno Opmeer's pitted for a new set of tyres, but it's all about this at the minute. It is Van Erven versus Beresnay as we keep an eye now, and it doesn't look like Van Erven can get close enough to Danny Beresnay, or can he? Let's see then. He needs a good exit coming out of the Senna S if he wants to try and win this race. But at the minute, Beresnay looks like he's got his number, looks like he's got the victory. Can he get close enough? Van Erven will try everything in his might. He'll get close, but not close enough into what looks like the final overtaking opportunity on this racetrack, Dan.
Yep, so it looks like Danny Beresnay could be uncontested here, but Matthijs van Erven, he knows that if there's a will, there's a way, and surely he's going to be wanting to take this win away from the Hungarian driver who's finished on the podium this season already, but it has not been enough to step on the top step as here he goes through the final few corners now. Danny Beresnay has put up an epic battle with the likes of Van Erven, Shooter and Haddad today, but he is going to come up on top. It has been a hellacious ride here in Brazil as he comes out of the final corner for the final time, utilizing all the battery. He knows he's won this race as he comes up towards the line. It is going to be Hungarian driver on top, Danny Beresnay. He wins in Brazil.
What a win for Danny Beresnay. He gets a brilliant result here tonight. He wins from Van Erven and Shootout. What a Grand Prix between the front drivers. But now it's time to pick up this man. Hell, it wasn't his night tonight. It did not go to plan. We already knew going into this Grand Prix tonight with Barry Buremand leaving the league that Jarno Opmeer was going to be crowned champion. He wasn't quite able to do it in the style he would have liked. He has been so dominant since the French Grand Prix, winning all but 2 Grand Prix since, and he's now fighting with Thomas Ronhaar on this final lap. He's a 2-time F1 Esports World Champion. He picked up the PC title in PSGL in Season 28, 29 and on PlayStation in Season 25. He's got 3 to his name. He's about to make it 4. And in Season 30 on PSGL and PC, it's going Dutch again. Opmeer crosses the line, wins the title in PSGL tonight. That is his 4th PSGL title, his 3rd on PC. It was not the race he was looking for, but he will not care a jot. He is champion once again. Jarno Opmeer, the champion, but the race winner tonight. What a race. Danny Beresnay, Dan.
Yeah, fantastic performance from the Hungarian driver and all the runners on the podium today, but you've got to hand it to the Dutchman who leads this title, and he can no longer be contested by anybody. His main rivals leave the league, and Jarno Opmeer has been able to dominate this championship. As you previously mentioned, Season 25, his first PSGL title over on the PlayStation. He came to PC on Season 28. He romped that title, finishing on the podium in every Grand Prix he raced in. He won in Season 29, and now it is going to be a 3rd title in a row in PSGL. It is utter domination from the Dutchman, champion once more.
He is the champion, a 4th title in PSGL, his 3rd on PC to go along with the one he won on PlayStation. There's the final results. Danny Beresnay wins from Matthias Van Erven 2nd and Simon Shooter 3rd. 2 Dutch drivers on the podium. Daniele Haddad 4th with Ben Shabak in 5th. Daniel Yumilo was 6th. Liam Parnell 7th. Duncan Hoffland 8th. Joost Nordijk 9th. And Jake Benham rounding out the top 10. But the big story tonight, folks, there it is. Jarno Opmeer, the world champion once again in PSGL. He picks up his 4th title. As I mentioned, 3 titles on PC, 1 on PlayStation, Season 28, Season 29, Season 30. It's 3 in a row on PC, 2 in a row in F1 Esports as well. He really is the cream of the crop as things stand. What a performance from Jarno Opmeer on the top step again. Let's see if we'll hear from anyone, Dan, in the podium interviews in a moment. But what a Grand Prix. First of all, let's talk about the race, because it was absolutely epic, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a hellacious ride in Brazil, and it provided a great race like we always seem to have. And Jarno Opmeer has also got a habit of winning titles in Brazil. This is another one to add to his repertoire. Season 30 champion. But don't forget as well, confirmed tonight, Mercedes are the Constructors' champions. They cannot be touched at the moment, being led by Jake Benham and Jarno Opmeer. They did a superb job this season, so we got to give them credit as well. It is going to be a double Mercedes title wrap-up with the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors as well.
Yep, there it is, folks. A lovely graphic there from PSGL, and I'm not going to lie, folks, they were actually made up a few weeks ago. We've had them sitting here ready to use, because since the turn of the mid-season, Opmeer has been on fire. Benham has been picking up points along the way as well, and they have both got themselves a title. The next thing I'm going to do is go to the interview screen, and hopefully very soon we will get someone in here that wants to have a chat about their Grand Prix. Danny Beresney is already in there, so let's drag him in. Danny Beresney with us now in the chat. Danny, congratulations on the victory tonight here in Brazil. What a race it was, a real scrap with several drivers up at the front. Jake Benham was in there, Simon Shootout was in there, Matthias Van Erven. Talk us through it. What a crazy race.
This is my first ever victory on PSGL. I won races in many other leagues, but in PSGL usually second and third places were my places. Jarno Opmeer is just too dominant. But Brazil is one of my favorite circuits. And also this weekend I got the chance to drive the McLaren as Barry doesn't continue the season. And this car suits me a lot better. Cars are equal, but they just have a different sound and feeling and structure, how you need to drive them. And I'm really happy to, at the end of the season, capitalize on this opportunity, as this is why I'm practicing so much. And after such a disappointing F1 esports season, I'm so happy to show that I still have the pace to fight with the best guys out there in the world. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who was at the front, and the racing was very, very clean. I was always given the right amount of room, and I also always try to respect the others on track. I'm just really happy to be part of this, and I really, really enjoy this race. This is the best race of my life in this game.
Wow, that's incredible, Danny. Well done. It was such a good race. It was so good. As you touched on, Danny, the respect shown at the front by all the drivers, you know, all the room was given by yourself and by them. It just made for such a great spectacle at the front of the field. I really, really enjoyed the action. Talk us through your strategy, Danny. You went and played the long game, pitting much later than the others, and in the end, it was the right decision.
Yes, this is kind of the Jarno Opmeer strategy to go late. And if you have the raw pace, and I felt like I have it, you can do it. If you don't have the raw pace, you risk getting out of the DRS train, and even with the fresher tires, you may never catch them. But on this track, fighting at the front was inevitable, so I was really happy to decide with this strategy. I think I could have even go one or two more laps longer, but I just had a really low amount of battery remaining. We are not only drivers, but also kind of engineers who really need to be smart with the ERS management, because when we see cars flashing, it's easy to attack, but then you drain your battery as well, and you will be vulnerable at the end. Yeah. And this race just was just awesome for the mind, awesome for the confidence, awesome for the joy of driving. And this is why I'm an esports driver, because I really love what I'm doing in this kind of races, and this is all worth the relentless effort from, I think, everyone.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant, Danny. And talk us through those final few laps. I mean, we knew that you guys were fighting so ferociously at the front. It was actually allowing the likes of Dario Yamilo to come through on the soft tyres. Did that ever cross your mind? Because I knew you were really patient with both Shootout and Van Erven, and you just waited for your moment to arrive. And as soon as you got in front, it did look as if you were going to win from there, just because of the difference in the tyres. So was the likes of the drivers on the soft tyres coming into your mind? Were you getting worried about them at any point?
No, because I knew that in the last few laps they will not have a lot of ERS, because they were fighting all along, and also their tires will go off, especially in the third sector where they overheat. So they can be faster than you in the first two sectors, but there they can't overtake, and where it really matters, that soft tire is not that unbelievably good. And also, I just saw on the minimap that the first stint was not really good for the alternate strategy runners. They may have fought a bit, or they had front wing damage cars ahead, and they just lost such a big amount of time that I didn't feel that they would recover it, no matter how hard we fight. And yeah, in the last few laps, I tried multiply attacks, but they always replied with ERS. But then I felt like I have such a big battery difference compared to them, because I always gave up super early to recharge, that, when I overtook, I could actually overtake two cars in two corners, because I just full sent it, and I still had 30% remaining, and then I could charge it up to 60% for the last two laps, and I knew that if I don't make a mistake on the track, I will have the victory.
Well, congratulations, Danny, on that first PSGL PC win. I mean, it's a long time coming, mate. A long time coming. So congratulations on picking up that victory. Dan, any questions for our race winner tonight, Danny? He was absolutely excellent, wasn't he? He was brilliant at the front.
Yeah, it was a really tantalising battle that we got to see you partake in, Danny. So just first off from me, really big well done on the race win. But it's a very quick question from me regarding your future in PSGL, and I think it could probably be answered in a yes or no format. Are we going to see you next season?
Yes, definitely. I'm not sure when it is, but 100%, because it's just a great practice for F1 esports as well, to perform well under the pressure and get to know the other drivers who you will fight against.
Love to hear that. Really excited that we get to see you back in PSGL at some point next season and in the future as well in the rest of the season. So really pleased with how you've conducted yourself tonight as well. And I think I'll let you get away. I don't have any more questions. But once again from me, really well done.
Yeah, thank you very much for the broadcast and for the interview. Have a nice evening.
Yeah, have a nice evening, Danny. Congratulations on that victory. It was a superb win and very, very entertaining. So well done to Danny Beresney on that win. We have now been joined as well by Jarno Opmeer, who of course did not have the race he was looking for tonight. A few issues, but crucially, wrapping up that championship. We knew it was wrapped up beforehand, but Jarno, that is now 3 successive PC titles in a row to go alongside your PlayStation top tier title as well. Congratulations on it. Talk us through that one. What a crazy race. But first of all, on the championship.
Thank you. Yeah, it was not a great race. I got knocked out of Q1, of course. I didn't do any practice because I knew I just had to start the race and then I would be champion. So, yeah, going into it without practice and getting used to other games in the meantime was not ideal. And then I got wing damage in turn 2 already, so I already knew it was over straight away. So yeah, I tried to just have a little bit of fun. I had a little fight with Brendan at some point. But yeah, it was basically over in turn 2 already. So nothing I could do really. So
yeah, okay. So I mean, I think it just goes to show just how high the level is, Jarno. It's incredible, isn't it? Because I mean, it's madness. Because I mean, there you go. You're in a wait a minute. I've got people coming in trying to come into the room mid-stream here. Apologies, folks. But anyway, sorry, Jarno. What was I saying there? Yes, about that. Sorry, not practicing. It just goes to show you that, you know, if you don't do any practice, you can be caught out. That's just how high the level is in PSGL, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It was, yeah, I just lost out a little. I had issues with the internet as well, which made it a bit harder.
Okay.
Because ideally, I would have wanted to do more laps in Q1 as a bit of a warm-up. Because I've done many times going into a league race without practice, but yeah, I didn't really get the laps to do that I wanted in Q1. So yeah, that made it very hard.
But what on the title then? You must be delighted about that. Obviously, you'd have liked to have done it on your own steam. Obviously, events that happened in the last few days meant that it was wrapped up before tonight. But talk us through that. That's 3 titles in a row now on PC. You must be delighted about that, surely.
Yeah, very happy. I mean, midway through the season, it just went very well. I started off very slowly in the season, with missing a race as well. And then, yeah, I just nailed every race after that, basically, apart from Singapore. So, yeah, very happy. I think the 2 seasons before were a little bit harder, especially the first one on 2020 was a lot harder. But nonetheless, it was a lot of fun. Another season, I'm not sure last 2 races because of other commitments. Okay. Got many other competitions coming up like Formula Pro and some others. So need to prepare for that as well to try and win that. But yeah, it was a very fun season, and next game I'll definitely be back. So can't wait for that.
Great to hear it. I'm sure everyone that watches PSGL will be delighted to hear that, Jarno. Dan, any questions for our world champion? 3 on the bounce in PC for Jarno Opmeer.
Yeah, of course, 3 in a row on PC, and of course 1 back on the PlayStation. And I'd actually like to get your opinion on your championships. Which of the 4, Yana, would you say is the most special to you?
Probably the second one because it was the hardest one. Of course, it went down to the last round. Missed I think 4 or 5 races that season, and yeah, it went down to the last round and managed to grab it in Brazil. I think that was the first PC season of PSGL. So yeah, that one was definitely the best because it was the hardest one. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember watching that live, and PSGL was just on 1,000 subscribers, I believe, around that time. Now we're on 16k, so it's been such a huge growth for the league, and it's been a pleasure to have you a part of it and be the champion once again. But that's all from me, Jano. Really well done for your 4th title in PSGL, and I think you've got to get the champagne out after that one.
I will, don't worry.
Well, Jarno, we'll leave you to go and get the champagne out of the fridge and celebrate another PSGL title. Congratulations on that World Championship. We won't be seeing Jarno, as he's just told us, we don't think, for the final few races of the season, but as he said, he's looking to be back next time PSGL goes racing on the new game. So congrats, Jarno, on the title, and we look forward to seeing you in PSGL again very soon.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that was Jarno Opmeer, folks, the world champion, wrapping up the title here tonight. Well, it was already foregone conclusion, folks, that he was going to win that title. And yeah, Barry Burman's decision not to race in the final couple of races, of course, wrapping it up before that Grand Prix. But Jarno there, not having a great race tonight, Dan, but I mean, he did the work earlier on in the season, didn't he? Ever since France, as he said there, slow start, but really nailed every single one, bar Singapore since.
Yeah, I mean, even if we did see Barry return, I think, for this week and still be in a title hunt, I still don't believe that Jarno would have been topped. It might still gone on for a potential other race, later on in the season, but I'm just thinking that, Jarno has been so good for these past few rounds, and especially winning 6 in the last 8 races. It's really special from him, and I don't think we've ever seen a driver quite like him.
Yeah, incredible. So strong. He's going to take some beating when PSGL returns in season 31, and he's going to take some beating in F1 esports as well. Really, really, really strong, and he's going to take some serious beating. Well, Dan, let's talk again about the race. Are you going to give us a driver of the day? I mean, there was so many out there at the front of the field giving us action. Who are you going to go for your driver of the day today?
There really are so many to choose from. I think the obvious one has got to be Danny Berejnay. I think time and shooter as well. He was putting in a great fight. But I'd also like to give a quick mention to Jake Benham, because it was really unlucky the way that he was spun. I think we will see a stewards inquiry at some point, and I do feel for him, but I can't give him my driver of the day. And honestly, Andy, I don't know if I can give it to anyone. Oh,
okay. I'll give it to Danny Berejnay then. I'll go Berejnay. First tier 1 win in PSGL PC. I'm going to give it to him. I think he was excellent in that second half of the race. He was patient, really good racecraft as well. So I'm going to go for Danny Berejnay, driver of the day. I thought he was excellent this afternoon. Well, I hope that you folks have enjoyed what you've seen here tonight at PSGL. Be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. We've got over 16,000 people subscribed now, and we've got only a couple of races left in this season. If you want to check them out, we've got the Italian Grand Prix from Imola on the 11th of May, and then on the 18th of May we head to the final race of the season, the Bahrain Grand Prix from Sakhir. And 2 more races to go in season 30. It's been an enthralling season with controversy, drama and exciting races. But Dan, are you looking forward to the final couple of Grand Prix?
Absolutely. Cannot wait for the last 2 races in this championship. 2 races only. I mean, it's gone by way too quickly, Andy. I almost want it to go in towards my A-levels, but I think they're ending at the perfect time, if I'm being completely honest here. But it's really unfortunate that the season has to come to an early end here in May. And I wish it could just keep going on forever.
Yeah, Well, unfortunately, all good things have got to come to an end, Dan. Whether that be the season or that be tonight's stream. That's all from us, folks, I'm afraid, tonight. I've been Ginger Andy. He's been Dan Field. We'll see you again next week for the 11th of May for the Italian Grand Prix or the Italian race from Imola. Good night.